Hello and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho and we're back on YouTube. Haven't been live since Friday evening, so we're back to draft some best ball teams. And I hope you didn't miss me too much. Let's fucking go. You know we're here to smoke and make some money. We got Pepper Tony in the chat. What's up? What's up? He is Fimps tonight, as always, and shaking his head. I was maybe like 15 seconds late, brother. This was all playful fun. Appreciate you, Pepper Tony. Thank you very much for popping in. What's up, Scott? Good evening to you as well. Thank you for hitting that like button. And Lolsimo giving us a little pine tree action, a little Christmas tree action. Appreciate it, Lolsimo. Nice to see you. We're going to be hopping into the Little Dalmatian today. I genuinely do not feel confident predicting tomorrow being able to draft in this contest. And it looks like one of my teams may have already been overturned and that contest may have been thrown out, possibly. I thought I did 3 of these. It's saying I've only done 2. Oh, no. There's 101 that you can do. Yeah, I have done 3. Never mind. All right, this is $1. Now's the time. It's definitely cheap content. Happy to do this one while we wait for some more appealing, bigger contests. But for $1, let's fucking go. 3 out of 12, 1 out of 10, 1 out of 6, and then 470 people in the final. We're trying to finish first, really, to get 20K. If we finish 8th, we still get 1,000, but nothing too special beyond that point. At least top 30, you get $100. But okay, let's do it. Gonna be a weird one. There might be some auto drafting teams, but we're hopping into the Little Dalmatian in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's go. Jason's in here. What's up? I cannot. The Spock thing is one thing I can't do. I can't, like, my pinky and ring finger, they don't want to stick together when the pinky goes out. I've never been able to do the Spock thing. Not even on the other hand. Like, it's just not my jam. Yo, what's up, Hartman? How you doing? Blunt it up. Let's light some puppies. But we got at least 50 slows going right now for Scott. Damn. 50. I currently have 3 slows going. I have no intention to do some auto drafted slows in this contest. I know some people like to do that, but I'm not really trying to do that. I did, however, fail to max the poodle in time to draft them all on stream and in person. So I did do 3 slow drafts in the poodle, and those hopefully last a while. If I'm going to do some slows, I want to get the advantage of drafting much later. But for the first time, I did some slows in the poodle recently. But we got Lolsimo in here at pick 2. I'm not sure about Fran Petch at pick 1. But Matty Z, Matthew Barnes at pick 4. Hartman in at pick 5. What's up, homie? And then pick 6, G. Wirig. Quick Cuts at pick 7, JHFC. Green Bean right next to me at pick 9. I have pick 10, and then 2 names I don't recognize on the back end. Good luck, everyone. If I missed you, shout it out in the comments, and let me know where you're drafting from. But good luck, everyone. If anyone hasn't done so yet, check out Hartman FF. His channel on YouTube is pretty lit. Always good information. Hartman knows what he's talking about. We got Batweed in here. What's up, buddy? How we doing? Nice to see you. And from pick 10, I'll probably get a team I like. But let's bring in the music. We are a few minutes into the draft. Vamonos. We're exactly 4.5 minutes in. Let's play some music. But Pepper Tony, thoughts on James Cook? Interesting question. Not too many early round players I get asked about too often. But Cook, I think, is legitimately priced here. Not afraid to click him. I'll probably just do it since you mentioned him. Why not? I have no fear in the Bills system. In fact, if you look at James Cook's production, it's all correlated when Joe Brady took over. That's when James Cook became the guy and really got the commitment Last year had a contract dispute. That was taken care of. Got a pretty big commitment. And if you told me in the Buffalo Bills offense he scored another 18 touchdowns like he did 2 years ago, wouldn't be shocked. I would say 12 plus touchdowns is probably the most locked in for any player in this section, in this turn. I'm going to pair him with Chase Brown. Chase Brown's actually also very, very productive. And a lot of his bad games really just because they didn't have a good quarterback to start the year. So I'll go a little bit different. My rankings actually have Ken Walker over Chase Brown, but the more I look into Chase Brown, the more comfortable I am drafting Chase Brown in the second. So we go James Cook, Chase Brown. Two offenses you want to bet on, the Bills and the Bengals, and attaching yourself to a elite quarterback that you know is going to deliver a team that can drop 30 plus points any single week. We are really just locking up a lot of production that there's no red flags you can really point to with James Cook. There's arguably a reason to be pulling up James Cook. If I'll be totally honest with you, in the pre-draft, my favorite click in the first round was actually James Cook. And I started off with so many James Cook Hampton starts back in the pre-draft. And because I'm not going to move off of Hampton, but because the Bills and Chargers have the same bye week, I've kind of just been like subconsciously ignoring James Cook a little bit so that I don't have my two first picks with the same early bye in week 7. That has been one reason why I've faded James Cook just a little bit. Haven't clicked him as much as I used to. But it's not like there's any reason to fade him. I do have him as like a top 6 running back. And him versus Christian McCaffrey, I would trust him to stay healthier. Him versus Hampton, I would say I trust my eyes more. We've definitely seen it more with James Cook. So there's less projecting there. Same versus Genty. He's younger than Saquon. Probably might score a touchdown or 2 more than Saquon. And then him versus Taylor, they can both finish top 5. In any given week, I could see James Cook outscore Taylor. But Taylor probably gets more touches overall. But better offense is still Buffalo. So James Cook is a fantastic pick. There's really no reason to be fading James Cook at all. Ranks definitely side with T. Higgins. Is kind of an unfortunate spot. I kind of don't like this turn. I feel like there's a very flat tier of receivers here. And I have so many teams with T. Higgins. It feels a little overkill. But we also have Chase Brown. So setting up the big Joe Burrow stack, definitely more palatable to draft Joe Burrow when it's double stacked. A lot of T. Higgins teams with Burrow, but maybe T. Higgins with Chase Brown is a little bit more valuable. Coming back around on the clock in just a second here, so want to be ready. I'll probably just grab Malik Neighbors. I think if he's top of ADP, he does go to Bakua. Yeah, that could have gone better, honestly. Not my favorite way to come out of that turn. But a player I'm a little low on that could be worth this pick, I'm going to pull up Jalen Waddle and possibly set up a Waddle Bo Nix team on this side of the board. A lot of voices I trust like Jalen Waddle, and there's not that many reasons to fade him. Then when you factor in how productive the Broncos offense is and what they traded to get him, it's pretty naive to be underweight on Jalen Waddle. So I'll get a little bit different. Waddle not pulled up to this side of the board as often, so maybe he won't be taken as much with James Cook theoretically. But we're in the $1 Dalmatian. It's not like weird teams are going to be few and far between. But let me get back to the chat. We got Steven Marker, my most owned first rounder by far. Fair take, Steven. I don't think that's it's bad at all. James Cook, definitely a very hyper productive, safe pick. I have looked at my exposures and been wanting to catch up a little bit. So perfect excuse today to take him. When the contest first dropped back in like February, I was willing to take James Cook at pick like 7, pick 8. I was willing to take him above the running backs, in all honesty. So he's fine. I think there's slightly higher upside with Hampton, but I would say a safer floor with James Cook. Hartman, most locked in 12 is probably Henry, to be honest. That's a fair take for 12 touchdowns. I wouldn't be shocked at all. I do think the Bills' offense, though, is just as narrow, if not more, and usually a little bit more touchdowns overall. So I would push back on that. I would say James Cook has just barely more of a guarantee to score 12 plus. But then if you told me one of them dropped 20 touchdowns, I would probably assume it's like Derrick Henry. Because Henry just goes nuclear down the stretch. But yo, what's up, Disbanded? How we doing? What's up? Good evening, Jamie. Hope you have a good evening as well. It's the Little Dalmatian season. At least today. I don't know if tomorrow I'll have access to this tournament. The contest probably fills extremely fast. Last year, I was at work the entire day that the first Dalmatian dropped, and literally I didn't have a chance to enter it a single time. I just found out it was open last year and didn't enter because it had filled. But Quinchon falls to this pick 58. Sure, I'll just take Quinchon today. Don't take him a ton, but falling down ADP. Let's do it. But what's up, Jerry Football? Let's get it. Indeed. Doing any 101 drafts. I'm not sure if you are asking about this $1 Little Dalmatian or the $100, the 101 entry, the big Dalmatian, or I guess the Dalmatian. Probably not. Probably not. If I do, I think I might wait a little bit, because if it's only a 3-entry max, it's probably going to stay open for a while. At $100 a pop, I could see... Yeah, okay, that's what you're meaning. Yeah, the 101, if I will, it's probably not going to be until the contest is like 90% full. More likely, I'm going to wait on that. But the receiver I like here by a mile is Brian Thomas. I will scoop him up at pick 63. Let's go. Pretty balanced start. Running back, wide receiver, running back, wide receiver. 0-3-3-0. No complaints so far. But if I do, I'm going to wait. And for the sake of the budget, I don't plan to do all three. I am running out of site credit. And now that I actually have to make a deposit and use my real money, there are other things. There are other factors involved than just the buy-in, but especially how far can I stretch my streaming budget as well. So I'll definitely mix in some high-stakes drafts. I'm not going to fade too many, but I'd rather draft 4 Best Ball Manias on stream than draft some... Then just max the big Dalmatian. But I might do one. Maybe one. But yeah, today, definitely dollar time. You know it. I'm already 20 deep in the Little Dalmatian. This is the contest to go heavy pretty quickly. You know, there's no other contest that will be cheaper. So might as well load up while you can. I will probably end up doing like 10 max. I don't think I'll do too many. Also, when you look at the payout structure, it doesn't feel that worth your time. Like, if you're going to auto them with preset rankings, this is the contest to test them out, see how some of your teams wind up, see how much you can trust your auto ranks. But I'm not the type of guy that wants to leave the room when I enter these lobbies, even for $1, even if I'm going to do a mass quantity of them. I like to be present for them. I like to plan out the picks, and fine if you don't like to do that, but I don't have a ton of time to be drafting off of stream, and so for that reason, I want to be here locked in, making every pick. But it's not like you make a shit ton for finishing 10th in this contest, so I'd rather invest my time elsewhere most of the time. What's up, Shamrock? How we doing? Nice to see you. The luck of the Irish coming in tonight. Hopefully, we do you proud. Herbert does go to the Lad McConkey drafter. I did not have a Herbert stack set up, so I'm fine with that. We could go with T-Law. QJ almost is available. Metcalf falls a few picks, though. Wouldn't hate that. But I think I'm just going to guarantee the Trevor Lawrence pick. I will get my stack here because I did pass on Joe Burrow. I would rather have Brian Thomas and leave it alone. The price on Burrow's fine, but it's not the most exciting. I kind of feel like he's going several picks too high. He should probably fall a full round, to be completely honest. But there's no way the Jamar Chase drafter passes twice, and you're kind of just forced to take Joe Burrow pretty high. But I'd rather have Jaden Daniels above Joe Burrow. I'd rather have Drake May above Joe Burrow. And even though I have the Chase Brown T Higgins stack, it's not that important. Not the end of the world if I don't get it. But Tucker Kraft circles back. I wouldn't hate this. Definitely trust him. The injury is obviously a little concerning. He might not be healthy the entire season. Could aggravate it. Could just crop up again. Could just be lingering. But I believe in his talent. I want shares of Tucker Kraft. And we will take him here today with some confidence. But yeah, I opted against it. I kind of have a rule personally at the top of round 6. I think there are a couple receivers that do have like true league winning potential. It's not a guarantee that they will crush and finish in the top 10, but any given week, I could easily see BTJ or Roma Dunze put up top 10 numbers and on the season well outperform their ADP. So they're guys that I kind of have a rule about. If they're still on the board, especially if I don't have my third receiver by round 6, I am willing to overlook a stacking partner like Burrow with Higgins and Chase Brown and stick to my rankings. I think the value of BTJ structurally in the 6th could really crush. And yes, Jiri is on team Parker Washington, but in terms of true ceiling, best case scenario for both, BTJ has absolutely the higher ceiling. We know that because last year we drafted BTJ at the 1-2 turn. Now, maybe BTJ is just truly washed. Maybe year 1 was an aberration. Maybe Parker Washington is just that good, but I am not a believer in that. I believe that BTJ is the guy you need in Jacksonville, and him versus Parker Washington, I think, is a significant gap, and then him versus Marvin Harrison is like night and day as well. So 2 guys that at one point went in the first round. Like year 1, Marvin Harrison was drafted at the 1-2 turn. Maybe pick like 14, 15 is a bit more accurate for Harrison. But if I recall correctly, he was like consistently picked 12 his rookie season. So they're going back to back in this draft. I trust the Jags offense a lot more. I would rather take Brian Thomas Jr. here than any other receiver remaining on the board. So that is why I do that. Am I doing a little Dalmatian after this? Yeah, we're going to do at least 2. My only other option for the audience tonight in terms of a different lobby to enter would be the Eliminator. I wouldn't mind claiming my free pick, my free entry in the Eliminator. We do have that promo that we earned, still yet to claim it. That is also a possibility. Here, though, interesting to see running back. Sure, I'll take Jonathan Brooks, especially in the Eliminator. True upside. Wide receiver is definitely not the value here. So I will go Jonathan Brooks. And maybe should have taken Bo Nix there. But I'm willing to push it. I might regret it, but I guess this Harvey drafter might say, fuck you. Thanks for passing. Probably not even fuck you. Just, yeah, he just take him. I could have done it, but I had T-Law already. I like the Brooks selection. And I was willing to push it. It didn't work out. But I could take Kenny Gainwell and just stop if I wanted to. That's also possible. Could backstack Stafford. I'm leaning towards grabbing Kenny G. Yeah, the risky play in Jonathan Brooks and then just a fucking fire running back room. I am done for the remainder of the draft. We have T-Law with BTJ. T. Higgins and Waddle are the only other receivers. So it's a little thin there. I'm going to hammer receiver, probably finish with 9 of them. But Tucker Kraft gives me the luxury of stopping at 2 tight ends. And then in this contest, the advance rate is 3 out of 12. I'm willing to draft a lot more 2 quarterback teams. That's for sure. So maybe I should have taken Bo Nix. That was probably the only other direction I could have gone. But couldn't help myself. We go Jonathan Brooks today. In the $101 draft, you like that it's 4 out of 12. That is nice. That's definitely a reason to do at least one. Locking up, double the advance rate? You have a 33% chance to move on to the next round. I haven't looked too in-depth at it payout structure, so I assume you probably make your money back if you advance. At the very least, you get half of it. But if it's only half to advance, then probably a really good payout down the line. What about the 50-cent Fox Terrier? Yeah, I mean, how high could the payout be for 50 cents? But Timbo, like in our BTJ stance, I believe. I assume that's was the reference. But Jamie, I'll try to hop in the little Dalmatian with you. Is there a countdown delay? I believe the delay right now is about 5 seconds. Let me make this pick and verify. I'm hoping Mason goes here to Green Bean because I don't really want to pass on him too much. He goes Tyrone Tracy. Interesting. Well, I'm not going to take Jordan Mason. I might just take Malik Willis and move on. But I need receiver points. I'm going Stephon Diggs first. I like some of the picks in this range. I'm not going to get Kincaid to make it back. The Josh Allen drafter most likely scoops that up. Without question, I would assume Kincaid is off the board here. Or at pick 134. Maybe not. If he makes it back, I'll take him. But locking up Diggs when I only have 3 other receivers, probably the wise move, probably just the safe move along type of decision that keeps me competitive enough in this lobby. Stroud goes. Okay, didn't expect that. I was kind of hoping to just take Malik Willis because I didn't have the option. But I think with Kraft, it would be a little bit reckless for me to pass on quarterback here. There's really no guarantee I'm getting a valuable one on the way back. And I did not set up this team to draft Aaron Rodgers. I passed on DK Metcalf. I don't really want to take Aaron Rodgers in this one. So I'll go Tila. I'll go Malik Willis. The floor with Malik, especially unstacked, is fine. And then just trusting that Trevor Lawrence is a top 10 play this year. It's a $1 draft. I'm probably just going to stop there in all honesty. Maybe I take one more, but need to load up on receivers. So Diggs made plenty of sense there. Happy to do that. But I'm going to try as well. Good luck, everyone, for hopping into our next lobby. Hartman says the final for the Dalmatian is only 23 seats. You know what? Let me look at that contest, actually. I'm curious how in-depth the structure is, if it's really worth it. A 4 out of 12, 1 out of 5, 1 out of 8 in week 16, and then a 23-seat final. If you make the final, you get $1,000 guaranteed. That's pretty sweet. 150 for the round prior. And then if you do advance, you do get the money back out of the pod. Yeah, that's not a bad contest at all. 23-person final. That's definitely what we're mostly asking for. You know what? I absolutely will do at least one. That is for sure. I will do at least one in the Dalmatian. $101, probably my favorite tournament. Finished 6th, I believe, 2 years ago in it. Damn, that's pretty sweet, Jerry. You know what? You're convincing me. I will be all 23 of those finals with all my 101 drafts. Love the confidence, Jamie. Yeah, not loving this this pocket of the draft here. I'll just take Flournoy. Really elite spike week ability, and I'm just drafting a lot of volume at this position moving forward. I'm done at running back. I'm going to try to just not take another quarterback. If Bryce Young is there, I might grab him, though. But I'm willing to just push quarterback and leave it alone. What contest am I doing next, Zero? I think we're just staying in the little Dalmatian. And then I'll put up a poll for the third draft if y'all want to do an eliminator. Or stick with it, but I'm not going to take Bryce Young. I'm not going to do it. I'll take Debo today. I take a lot of Trey Harris. I'll take Debo today. That's fine. He's probably moving up the board as well when he signs. A pretty safe name to bet on. The landing spots, you know he's going to play. Absolutely going to be suiting up this year. So the Colts are an option. The Rams are an option. The Ravens are an option. That'd be pretty interesting. And then obviously the Dolphins, the Commanders, the Raiders. I honestly think he actually could still work with the Niners. I don't think that's like the worst landing spot for him in terms of fit, but I could see him just not want to go back there. Not his favorite choice to make. Odds are, though, he signed somewhere he's worth more. I faded receiver at the top, so we're trusting the CLV on Diggs and Debo. But, yo, what's up, Hallie? How you doing? Nice to see you. And then I was inverted. It says the Dalmatian is a 3 entry max. Yeah. Only 3 of them. It'll probably take a minute to fill. If I had to guess, with 2,700 spots, that means 900 different people can max it. I would imagine the first like 1,500 spots probably get taken pretty quickly. And then not many of those players will have even just one more bullet in the chamber for like the last third of the contest. So I wouldn't mind pushing it to hop in and just kind of tracking where it stands on the fill rate. I think hopping in, doing your first one when it's like 50% fold, your second one when it's like 80%, and then your third one in the final 10%. I don't think that's terrible. Okay, I think I'm gonna cave. I'm actually gonna take Fernando Mendoza. He falls a few spots. I do think there's a world where Malik Willis starts off strong in terms of fantasy points, and then because of his style of play, might get hurt or something. I could also just see, with a lack of weapons, the league just wise up to him and just really limit him once they have some tape on him. Now, Greg Dulcich went. I would have liked to take Greg Dulcich, but not the end of the world. That's fine. I still am just trusting Tucker Kraft, so risking tight end in the next round isn't terrible, but I'll go T-Ferg here. I'm fine with that. We get a double week 11 bye, but in this contest, I really don't give a shit about it. There's just a lot of teams with week 11, so it is what it is. Would have been better to get Greg Dulcich, but he does go to the Allen drafter for a bring back, I would assume. He had Fannin Schultz, also took Greg Dulcich. I kind of blame him a little bit. Don't think that's a necessary pick, but in this range, if Dulcich hits, he's a phenomenal pick. It's totally fine. But what's up, Anthony? Just tuned in. What's up? What's up, bro? How you doing? Have I been doing DraftKings main? Asked Dread Pirate Roberts. No, I have not drafted a single team on DraftKings this summer. I might consider it, but at the moment, we are, at least for the streams, exclusively on Underdog. If I'm going to do a different setting, I think I'm more willing to try drafters first rather than DraftKings. I'm also not totally sure what the settings are for that in California. I believe it's available. I'm pretty sure, but I've genuinely never tried to set up a DraftKings account. So I think that's fine. But no, I've never done one. Not my typical move. But first time fantasy, I'm going to push it. And if I have to, I'll jump into a couple slows. That is fair, especially on the Dalmatian. If you don't do a lot of high stakes draft in general, I can imagine the pressure of a $100 buy-in probably feels a little bit more intense, and having more time on the clock, I could see help be an advantageous move. Not only do you get the longer time to think about it and make your decision, you will be drafting later into the year, may have more information as well. So for that type of buy-in, you might want every little advantage that you can get. So there is that. But if I'm going to do one, I'm absolutely going to do it on the stream. I guarantee you that. Absolutely. Not tonight, though. I'm not going to do it tonight. I think receiver with these last two picks is probably the wise decision. I will draft Caleb Douglas on this one. I don't stack up Malik with the receivers too often, but I have some faith that one of those rookies has a chance. And Chris Bell, I just don't think we'll get enough reps. I just think he's a long-term play for the organization. Year one, I'd rather take a swing with Caleb Douglas, I think. There's no one really to stack with Mendoza. He's kind of just there for points. So here, oh, Franklin was already taken. I'll go Surratt then. That's fine. Double rookie. Definitely some upside with Surratt. If he gets all the volume in Baltimore, I feel like one of those rookies is bound to hit. It feels like a pretty safe bet. So we'll take him here today, mainly because I was running out of time. In all honesty, that was the main decision. But I do think he's a good pick. I mix him in every now and then. I get a little bring back with Cincy and Baltimore, but ultimately that really had no bearing on my choice there. It was just kind of like, he's fine. I'm running out of time. Let's just take him. But this team, with James Cook, Chase Brown, Quinshon Judkins, Jonathan Brooks, and Kenneth Gainwell, the running back room is absolutely the strength of it, and we should have some major breakout potentials. This Quinshon price, very consistent floor, but weekly I can get 25 points from both of my top two starters, and then if I get the starting Panthers RB, that's going to hit my lineup a few times pretty big, and then Kenneth Gainwell in Tampa should be a big pass catcher. It should be a big part of the offense, honestly. I like him a lot. Last year, had a lot of spike weeks. Should be good. Quarterback with T-Law, Malik Willis, and Fernando Mendoza. Just trying to get some points in. I guess ultimately I didn't feel confident enough with just T-Law and Malik Willis. But for the price, we got a very affordable 3 quarterback room. And who cares if Mendoza is unstacked? Ultimately, that's not really the bet I'm trusting. I'm trusting this BTJ T-Law bet in the fantasy playoffs. That's who I'm trying to get to spike in my lineup and win the week. But receiver feels okay despite only drafting 3 to start off this draft. We took T. Higgins, Waddle in the early 4th, and then BTJ in the 6th. BTJ makes this team way, way safer. The fall off from BTJ to Metcalf could be a big deal. And while Burrow on this roster would have been nice, had I taken T-Law and set things up comparably, I never got good values at receiver, honestly. Like, other than, like, if I took Kraft, I never had a good spot to grab receiver. The Brooks and Kenneth Gainwell by value were definitely the moves instead of some receivers there. Like, Wandale over Brooks and Kenny G is not my favorite move at all. So, just taking what the board gave me, but then Diggs just for necessity. Flournoy hoping for maybe an injury above him, but high spike week potential. And then Debo, Caleb Douglas, Surratt. I need one of these rookies to hit but should get the veterans to fill out the roster. And then I also can get away with maybe just 3 wideouts in the lineup every week. I got a lot of points at flex coming from running back. The elite tight end, Kraft, and then Ferguson. We do have a double week 11 bye. That bagel will be annoying, but we can still finish top 3, I think, with this team. Hopefully it's fine, but yeah, Mendoza was just for points, just for raw points. I do kind of worry that Malik falls off quickly down the stretch. I could see him get benched as well. There's a world where you hit week 12 and he is just worthless. Whether he's on the field or not, the Dolphins offense could just be completely worthless. So it is what it is. I wouldn't say this is my favorite team. I'm not in love with this team too much, in all honesty. Maybe I should have taken Burrow just for the correlation. But going Kraft there kind of hamstrung my receiver depth. This team could be better. Quarterback, I also passed on Bo Nix. Yeah, this team could have definitely looked much, much different had I just stuck with Joe Burrow and Bo Nix. I probably should have taken Bo Nix over Jonathan Brooks. I didn't. It is what it is. $1. What ifs? We got Green Bean in here, though. Curious what he did. Lamar Jackson and Cam Ward. Taylor, Ken Walker, Scadaboo, Rashad White, Tracy, and Jaden Blue. If there's ever a contest to trust Jaden Blue, this should be it, right? But then both Giants it's all right. I would have taken, you passed on someone valuable. You passed on Mason to go Tyrone Tracy. I would have just taken Mason. But both Giants are RBs. At least every week you're getting the starter. I understand it. But quite a lot spent at running back. We got Flowers, Harrison, QJ on this team, Addison, Wandale. Wandale at 105 feels a little pricey. Malik Washington, Ted Hurst, and Xavier Thomas, Juwan Johnson, Gunnar Helm, not the best tight end room, that's for sure. But quarterback, totally fine. Running back is totally safe, and like there's really no holes at running back. Can't complain about running back at all. Receiver, a little bit mid, kind of quickly, and then tight end is also not the most exciting, but 2 of some of the better values possibly, and one of them is stacked up. Good luck. Lolsimo's in here as well, but real quick, let me do Hartman's team actually, because Hartman is a member. Almost forgot. We got Drake May, Kyler, and Aaron Rodgers. That's a fine and dandy quarterback room. Love the little fall on Kyler as well. Rodgers at 188. That's pretty sweet. I get it. And then Genty, Brees Hall, Swift. That's a nice top 3. Ramondre at number 4, and then Algier coming in at number 5. No complaints at RB. Very solid at running back. Wide receiver, though, has Nico, Terry, Ricky Pearsall, Michael Pittman with the stack, Travis Hunter, Isaac Tesla, and then Jack Betch. Okay, Betch, I never take. But in a $1 contest, I suppose. Hunter, also like taking him in this contest. It's worth the gamble. And then Andrews, Brenton Strange, Freiermuth, totally checks out at tight end. Pretty solid team from Hartman as expected. No complaints. Yeah, these top 4 can piece it together. These last 3, the depth at receiver, though, kind of thin. That's really the only note. But high upside if it hits. Losimo in here, though. We have Hurts, Baker Mayfield, and Daniel Jones. That can check out. Bijan, Jeremiah, Tony Pollard as RB3 feels very safe. Kyle Monungai and Alvin Kamara. Good offenses to bet on. Kamara, though, might be worthless 10 spots past ADP. No issue there. It's worth it every now and then. But Rashi, Devontae Adams, Josh Downs, Casey Concepcion, Jalen McMillan, Stribling, Christian Kirk, and Jacoby Lane. So the receiver room thins out pretty fast. If Downs does not deliver, I could see some big issues. But McMillan, a pretty good bet. Also stacks with Baker. And then tight end with Loveland, the elite option. Hawkinson, also fine with him. Not my favorite pick, but he's fine. He's not terrible at the end of the day. All right, let me catch up with the chat, but we're going to do one more little Dalmatian. I also haven't taken a rip in a minute, so let me take a hit from the pipe and then catch up with the chat. And you guys can get the little Dalmatian set up if you want to draft with me. I'll give you a countdown though. We're not hopping in just yet. Zeros also in California. Both DK and drafters are available. Good to know. Not the sports book, but just okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, the sports book unfortunately is never available in California. I would probably risk a lot of money over the course of the year if the sports book was available. I'm sure I would. But appreciate you, Scott, for telling people hit the like button. We got 21 likes, 47 people watching. We are drafting a second draft in the little Dalmatian, but if we can get up to above 40 likes, we will draft a third, and I will then put it up to the audience. We'll open up a poll. Do you guys want a third little Dalmatian or an eliminator draft for draft number 3? But yeah, the 4 of 12 definitely gives you a few more options and a bit more cushion. Definitely a little wiggle room. You can tolerate some more risk. I absolutely plan to do one, but I don't know if I can afford to do all 3, honestly. Shamrock, when you do the countdown, do we click enter at 0 or wait a few seconds? I would recommend hitting enter when I'm counting at like 6, 5, 4. I think if you hit the button at 7 or earlier, you risk being in the lobby before. You risk being the pre-flow. And then if you click the button after like 2 seconds on the clock, you risk missing. I would hit the button around 6, 5, 4 at the latest. So if you want to hit it at 7, that's also fine. But I wouldn't wait until 0 and expect to get in every time. Usually these fill pretty quickly. 0, I actually mix in some of my fades on the higher stake stuff more than the lotto shit. Interesting. I could see that making some sense. Just because if you're wrong, you really don't want to be out when the payout's pretty big, and then when the risk is lower buy-in, you might as well go fucking balls to the wall on what you believe. But I'm definitely inclined to just get my guys sometimes in the bigger buy-ins. I definitely just want a team that I can accept the full roster before I move on with it and just walk away being like, yeah, I got some names I needed. I'm good with that. Rather than being like, fuck, I took all the names that just fell, but I really don't like. I'm not in love with that. But 44% filled. The day it dropped at 1 p.m. I love it. Yeah, this contest is not a lock to be open tomorrow at all. Especially when it gets down to like 85%. There's going to be some people that are ripping like, enter the next 20 slows. There's definitely going to be some of that as it comes to a close. So this time tomorrow, no guarantee. It's open. But Anthony took Keenan Allen yesterday in an eliminator draft. It's worth mixing in. It looks like he's gearing up to play. I think so. It might not be the best bet, like how many weeks above 12 points can he actually give you? Probably not that many, but like that's what Torrey Horton was hopefully offering you last year. And then if he does sign, he's moving up 50 picks instantly. So might as well get in with a few picks today. I consider this contest one that I like to take Keenan quite a bit. I was drafting with Hames earlier 3 different times, and every single time I took Keenan Allen. But 92% of the fill rate is slows. Yeah, definitely in this contest. It's slow as fuck. But my favorite team of mine, so I took Judkins and Waddle. Interesting, 0. They're definitely fine where they go. And I am definitely getting more willing to draft Waddle. It is BBG week, and he's definitely best ball guy's guy. But the argument's pretty easy to trust. It's just kind of like injury risk. But we've also drafted Waddle much higher. And then there's also instances where Cortland Sutton has finished in the top 15 pretty consistently. So we'll see what happens. But what's up? Yo, what's up, Off the Shine? How we doing, Cody? If anyone hasn't checked out Cody over on Off the Schneid, also a dope streamer. We had Jerry also pop in earlier, real quick. Shout out Jerry Football. Subscribe over there as well. Awesome live streamer, friend of the channel. Hartman FF, Jerry Football, and Off the Schneid. The Sportsbook is coming to Alberta, but I'm losing DK Best Ball, most likely Underdog as well. I'm a sad fan of the... Dang, that's a bummer. You're losing all of Best Ball? Damn, is Drafters available? I guess that's kind of the only consolation prize I can imagine. But take the Sportsbook back and give me... Yeah, I know, right? At least for my wallet, I probably would risk way more and lose more often in some of the parlay bets. Parlays are hard to hit, let's be honest. Parlays are what the website wants you to do because it's far less likely that you actually hit. But good luck, Cody. Dang, it's a maybe you have to move. Maybe you have to move. How far it would be to drive to an area with take a 2.5 hour drive and then enter a shit ton of slows and then drive back home. Gotcha. How long do you have? 50 watching and 20 likes for shame. We got 28. We're up to 28 likes, but appreciate you, Cody, for reminding the people. Yeah, thank you very much. Cody is the man. Cody's a great voice in the space. Nice to see you back on the lives recently. If anyone hasn't checked out Off the Schneid, check him out. He was also on our channel back in, I think it was early April. If it was the last week of March, that's also possible. But I think it was like early April. We drafted with Cody, and we were hoping that Elijah Surratt would be a Bengal. Sadly, that didn't happen. But we drafted some fun teams with Cody. Check that out on the replay if you would like. Yeah, that's definitely bad news. Bummer to hear that, Cody. Unfortunate. But Jamie, already in 25 slows into 20 fast. Yeah, this is the contest to let her rip, I suppose. Speaking of let her rip, it's time. Y'all have been waiting long enough. We will hop into a little Dalmatian in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 3 spots remaining. Come on down. Which pick did we get? I was hoping for something on the early side of the board. Again, back-to-back, I get pick 10. Will be a little bit different this time. Maybe I'll get that Joe Burrow double stack, but Zero Fox is in here at pick 1. We got Jack's Locks, number 9 at pick 2. We got Cheese Guy at pick 3. Old Man Duardi Lazo at pick 4. N-Dub 02 at pick 5. Rummy Rams at pick 6. Chris in the house. What's up, Chris? Niners fan 05 at 108. How we doing, Chad? He's getting a team review, member of the channel. Same with Zero. And then Ray Fox at 33 at 109. Hartman right next to me at pick 11. And then AF Deuces, pick 12. Good luck, everyone. Good luck, everyone that hopped in. And good luck to everyone to missed it, is in the overflow or the pre-flow. Especially with all the slows. Like, I also imagine there's people multi-tabling. So I could also imagine the lobbies that you enter in the first place might already like be filled by like 5 people. These ones are filling like very, very quickly today. So really no guarantees. There's 11 open spots in the first place, but praying for you guys. Yeah, good luck. July 9th is the day. So you have 10 days. DK, DFS, and Best Ball is 100% dead. Almost certain all of Underdog goes as well. Damn. Is that that's got to be a political stance. That's got to be something in the legislature rather than just the websites pulling out. Damn, is Trudeau laying down the hammer, or is it just an Alberta thing? Bummer. But yeah, Chase at the 101, a great pick. Says the Bengal fan. It makes my cat proud. Leia's gonna be happy about that. Yeah, sorry to hear that, Jamie. Better luck next time. Pick 2 though for Steven. That's not bad. That's pretty sweet. I never take Saquon. I'm going to take him for what, for a dollar. Give me Saquon for a dollar. If I'm wrong about Saquon, I suppose I should take. I've actually been catching up on Saquon, to be completely honest with you. I'm actually currently right at 8% exposure on Saquon. And as the Tank Bigsby guy, at least one of them, there's plenty of others, but I have a shit ton of Tank Bigsby. He is my most drafted player. If that doesn't work out, I don't want to get completely burned by having no Saquon. So I'm probably inclined to just have 8% Saquon when it's all said and done. But on a team like this with a little less conviction, pairing him with Hampton, though, it feels pretty sweet. That's going to be pretty nice. And the volume is still a pretty safe bet. It's not compelling to tell me that the volume is just going to dry up for Saquon this year, unless he gets hurt. The big fade on Saquon is if he gets hurt. That's what gives Tank Bigsby such high contingent upside. But until it happens, it's an all or nothing bet on the Eagles. And if you get nothing from Tank Bigsby, it's because you get at least all the touches from Saquon. So I could easily see him score 15 touchdowns. I don't want to get completely burned. He was not very productive last year, but the offensive coordinator change should help him. And we also pair him up with Hampton, a guy I'm pretty happy to take as well. So Saquon and Hampton feels fine. There's a world where Saquon goes down, and it's terrible, but that means all my other teams hit. And at this point, I'm willing to make the anti-bet that the Eagles just stick with the guy they're paying the biggest contract in the league. I believe Saquon makes the most running money at the running back position overall. Indeed, Fantasy Monster knows running backs are king. Let's trust the top of the market. Good luck, Anthony, in the overflow. 0 entered 3 at once. Colin, I missed it, but in at 10, so I'm going to shadow your draft. Good luck. Were you able to get Saquon and Hampton as well? That's actually kind of a slightly tougher combo these days. You have to pull up on one, and that rarely happens. Usually they're both taken in the second round, but it's not difficult if you really want to do it. Sometimes you get sniped. But Travis fell to pick 32 for Niners fan. Good click for Chad. That's pretty sweet. And of course, at pick 10, you miss out on the big falling values, but fuck. I'll just take Allen today. Screw it. This will be an Allen team. Why not? But Taylor went 103 in yours. Or Chase at the 106. Holy shit. That's awesome. They better keep that political crap out of BC. Don't take my drafts. Yo, Jerry would be fucking... Yo. Yeah, I'm sure Jerry's ears perked up. I mean, I'm in California. They threatened to take it away last year, actually. Nah. I'm not taking a running back in the first 4 rounds. I'm going 0 wideout right at the moment. I'm going Cam Scatterbo. Saquon, Hampton, Scatterbo, and Josh Allen. Let's see if we can land this plane. But Old Man is in here at 4. Good luck, brother. You go 0 RB. You take Puka, Nico, and Devontae Smith from pick 4. I think that's probably the right move. And I don't mind any of those clicks. That makes plenty of sense there. Good luck, brother. You're on the clock right now. What are you going to go with? Waddle, committing to the bit. I like it. Waddle, wide receiver 4. It should crush. But 0, I have 20% Saquon in BBM. Love his price. I have been thinking about it and like a little bit worried that having a big fade on Saquon could just really burn me. There's a chance that it really burns me. But Colin, never mind not taking Saquon. Yeah, you pivoted off that strategy pretty quickly, right? Seeing Saquon round 1, you're like, fuck it, never mind. Never mind. I'm still on site credit technically, so I'm still a little more bold than other times. But honestly, never thought I'd see the day Alberta would do something like this, Jerry. The province that hates Ontario the most, and we do something similar to them. Sad to hear it off the schneid. I don't know enough about the nuances of that. But last year, what happened in California, the attorney general was like, "Oh, I can influence what's going to happen. I'm going to write a strongly worded letter and say, well, my opinion is that the people in California should not be able to play this game. My opinion is that this is illegal and this is not allowed." And maybe the Native American tribes have something to say about that remaining that I'm not factoring in. But like, that's what happened in California last year. The attorney general was like, let's try to put a stop to this. And then nothing happened. Like his strongly worded letter, his opinion. Last thing I knew, last time I checked, an opinion is not a law. So I've been drafting like normal ever since, and that shit never came to pass. But different country, I don't know what's going to happen there. I would have loved DJ Moore to fall just one more spot. I do not get him. That's a bummer. That is quite a bummer. I'll go Watson here. Not my favorite way to play the Packers, but a pretty safe target share, and he's locked in as their wide receiver one since the contract. Jaden Reed was pretty bad last year, and Watson really looked healthier than expected, so I'll grab him and just hope he stays healthy. But that was kind of just the price I was willing to pay by fading White out for so long. We don't take a single one until round 5, and we almost get the perfect stack. It does not happen. Not today. But Steven, Tank is my most drafted player as well. I got a good amount of Saquon too. I'm starting to get more Saquon shares. I'm catching up. I'm officially at the market. I'm at 8%. And today, that puts me above 8%. But for $1, not saying much. But sweet, BTJ falls back. Thank you, Hartman. Appreciate the little gift there. You go Tyler Warren. That's a good pick as well. But you had 4 receivers already. A fair choice to pass on wide receiver 5. But BTJ with Allen, I probably won't target Trevor Lawrence. They have the same bye week. But I definitely need some points at the position. But, yo, what's up, Who Hames? Another family soup tonight. What are we cooking up? A nice little lobster bisque? Nice little clam chowder? What are we cooking up tonight? What's our soup du jour? Let me know. If anyone hasn't checked out Who Hames, another friend of the channel, awesome live streamer. One of my favorites. I'm catching Who Hames as many times as I can. Friend of the channel. And we are also going to be competitors. I'm looking forward to see the true Chiefs versus Chargers rivalry come out in a head-to-head matchup in Best Ball Jeopardy. Look out for that. We are 9 days away. Not this Wednesday, not 2 days from now, but next Wednesday. Me versus Who Hames live on the Fanspeak Network YouTube channel. Best Ball Jeopardy. Round 1 matchup. Ya boy versus Who Hames. Very excited for that game. Good luck, brother. Excited for that. Cannot wait, honestly. Nice running back room so far on your room 0. 0 has Judkins and Chuba. Maybe Batweed is referencing a different team. But the CMC Achan, that happened in this lobby as well. Chris goes CMC Achan. Brees Hall also took Bucky at 55. So kind of similar to me, fading White out a little bit. But Colin goes CD and Hampton. Very fair. Definitely a safer, more balanced approach. Not an issue at all. But Batweek in a different lobby. Yeah, he has the same username here on YouTube, but is Jiri streaming later? I wound up in your Dalmatian pod earlier. Yeah, I believe Jiri was in a Dalmatian earlier today live on stream with Matic and BBG. I don't think he planned it. I just think it happened. And check out Jiri Football. A lot of strong takes over there. But we also have a bet going on with Jiri, so we'll be linked all season, at least through the first 10 weeks of the year. BTJ versus Parker Washington straight up fantasy points is the bet me and Jiri have. And the wager is a $100 entry. Loser has to foot the bill for a joint bigger board next year. That's a $100 entry. We have to split in terms of payout, but not entry fee. I kind of want to go Rico and move on, but I think I'll probably just take the fall, a little miner's fall on Alec Pierce. I'm a little bit worried about him missing week 1, but not really impacting his production once healthy. That's kind of the only issue. However, odds are he's probably just ready in time. It's still kind of early in the year, but the more I've looked into his injury, there are reasons to be concerned, but average depth of target, overall bet on the Colts offense, very consolidated target share. I'll just take him at 82. I'm fine with that. There's not that many players I'm just like locking in as like elite picks around here, but not many are like the true number 1 receiver in their offense. And while he is a little banged up, I'm drafting a bit more recklessly. I'm going to draft more volume at this position anyways. So I don't know if I really want to double up on either the Packers or the Colts here. So I'll go Chris Godwin instead of Jaden Reed, instead of Josh Downs. I also have a decent amount of Addison as well. So another fine, good pick in this range. I will go Chris Godwin. And we are getting our points at whiteout. Keith, I have 57% Javonte Williams. Am I burning money? Holy shit. That's too much, bro. That is too much. This reminds me of the first year I ever played best ball. That was the year where Javonte and Russell Wilson were teammates for the first time in Denver. And I was buying into Javonte like crazy. I had a shit ton of Javonte. He was a 3rd round pick. Back then, the market was very, very bullish. And I was spending a lot. He started off pretty mid. He got hurt pretty quickly. That was a bad year. I didn't draft a shit ton of teams that year. I didn't invest very much money. But in terms of like player convictions, I had like 35% Javonte. And an injury is why I'm usually not willing to go that overboard on an early round pick. I have 20 something percent Hampton. I think it's like 21, 22. And he's in the 2nd round. I think that's the max. I think 25 in those early rounds. Because if they get hurt, that's gonna suck, bro. That is the main risk. I would back off, honestly. You're up to 57. I would let that trickle down, back down to 35, if I could. Just started Bijan Bowers Allen, super unique. That is achievable, I suppose. The Allen pull-up might be a little costly, but Bijan Bowers always feels nice. No issue with that. Indian casinos tried to shut us down. Yeah. The Native American casinos. I get it. I mean, I don't know all of the nuances there, but like if they have the market kind of cornered, I would understand why they would, push back legally, but I have no idea. It seems like it was just like some legal essay, some letter to, Santa Claus that was written. Nothing ever happened. That really faded away pretty quickly, honestly. I've been wanting to take more Kyle Pitts, honestly, so this could be an interesting pick. But for the price, I'd rather go Matthew Golden if I'm drafting a second Green Bay Packer. I'm starting to be convinced that my preferred way to play the Green Bay Packers is with Tucker Kraft and Matthew Golden, and then I could see Christian Watson be also very great. I took Watson on this team. I'm fine with Watson, but for the discount, I think the bet on Golden is very compelling because when you look at Jaden Reed's game log last year, it was not good at all. And he was very banged up. He was consistently injured. He did not come back to the field anywhere in terms of recovery timeline that was expected. He was pretty slow to get back on the field. A little disappointed that the Kraft team took Love, but makes a lot of sense. I have Josh Allen, so it's not the end of the world. And in terms of values here, I've been trying to click Rachaad White a little bit more often, but I still rank Kenny Gainwell higher above him. So I'll go Kenny Gainwell RB4. He's the one that has been pulled up to the ninth turn a lot more often. I'm still a believer in Kenny G over Rashad. The other day, I believe on Friday, you saw me take Rashad more often, but I'll take Kenny G here at 111. I've been pulling him 2-3 turn with Pickens. Not sure who we're talking about anymore. The Burrow snipe is wild. Where did Burrow go? Yeah, Burrow unstacked to team 6. That's brutal. That's annoying. That's a bummer. K9 at 3%. Saquon, my 2 biggest fades in the early second. Interesting, Colin. Not sure I've seen you in the chat too often, so appreciate you for subscribing and hopping in today. I can understand the Saquon bet. He has some injury-prone history, definitely a lot of volume last 2 years, and an offense that really fell off in terms of efficiency. I get it on Saquon, but I'd be kind of worried about the K9 fade at only 3%. That's pretty low. And K9, I think, is a very compelling bet just because like the injury to Mahomes and the way that they've addressed their offense this offseason, they very clearly need a running back that can operate as a playmaker and just be like a guy that they trust to lean on. So I could see a few weeks where Kenneth Walker just like really dominates, especially early on in the season, and really helps carry you there. I don't know if I would want to be underweight on either of them, to be honest, but especially 3%, that sounds kind of risky to me. But yeah, I would agree. It's too low. Probably need to pull that up just a little bit. What I think of the members only I did today, Who Hames, I was a little bit busy at the time, but I enjoyed, trying to maneuver the wheel on the ship in terms of like which direction to go. There's picks that I like, and then there's picks that fit your team. And I felt like it was a little bit reckless at times. It was a little bit hard to, you had a pick near the turn, and it was easy to set up your first pick, but then it was like, oh shit, you're back on the clock like instantly with your second one, and I already forgot who I want to recommend to you. And with the delay, it's like, are you even seeing it? So there was a little bit too much chat action for my scattered brain at the time to lock in, but I enjoyed the premise, and I think if I had the time to actually like sit down with you, I would have enjoyed it a lot more. And it would have been lit. I love the concept. I'm glad you tried it out. I would imagine one of the ways I would tweak it, Who Hames, is request like your 2 next picks. Like use the picks as a pair. Damn, this team also snipes me on Kincaid. Fucking bummer. That's annoying as fuck. I will trust my rankings. I'm Goddard over Ferguson. I need a tight end. I wanted Kincaid pretty badly, honestly. I was 100% planning to take Kincaid there. He goes 129. And I still trust Goddard more. I'd rather take Goddard, to be honest with you. But Kincaid also has like massive breakout potential. And it's really just the injury risk with Kincaid why you wouldn't take him. But once you look at his game log, it's like, yeah, this was actually very productive. When healthy, and he's not going anywhere. He's still a first-round pick on a team that doesn't have many weapons. And Ferguson makes it back, so I could just take Ferguson here. My receiver room, though, started off kind of slow, and I've ignored that position a few rounds. I'm going to take Stephon Diggs because I trust that he's worth pick 135. He might not be elite, but he's absolutely worth pick 135, most likely. And when he signs, I'm not going to be convinced that he's going to be worth his new ADP, but he will move up. I've been taking him all summer, all spring. I have chased Diggs down the board, and I have locked him into the 11th round. Here in the 12th, I'll take him again. But Olman says, dang, auto pick, shake my head. I didn't want Marv. No one ever wants Marv. You can never feel good about Marv. Pick 69, as Kurt Rambis would say, you get stuck with Botox lips. Never fun. But Colin Stewart, I love everyone else so much more in that range, though, so it's tough for me. There are some very good picks in the top of the second. There's some really good running backs, and even if you get stuck with Achane, Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, who are at the bottom of the ranks, those don't feel like bad picks at all. Like, top of the second, if you grab a running back, you're really not making a dent in the lineup at all. Like, there's really just very safe bets every time there. But Jamie, I always watched Who Hames before he even knew me, just chilling in the background. Jamie's been watching since I started. Jamie was here from day one, I feel. Jamie, in terms of my live streams, has always shown up. That is why Jamie's a moderator. Here since day one. Know I can trust Jamie. Dynasty, what's good? Nice to see you, bro. Cheers to you as well. Also, good to see Steve-O speak in the chat. What's going on? I know Steve is past midnight at this point, so it's a little late for y'all on the East Coast, but thanks for popping in. Yo, we just cracked 70 viewers on the concurrence. Appreciate everyone for hopping in. And we have locked in draft number 3. We have 41 likes on the video. So I'm going to ask you guys what you guys want. We will do 3 drafts tonight. I don't think I have time for 4. I'm a little tired, but are we doing a little Dalmatian for $1 or an Elim for $10? The poll has started. I am on the clock. We will check in with that later on, but I could definitely use another quarterback. I never really take Bryce Young, but feels fine on this team. Would have preferred to have Jalen Coker. I passed for Goddard. It is what it is. But sorry, Hartman, if you wanted him, it's just not going to happen. Not today. Damn, the team in front of me got some good prices. Cam Ward at 153. That'd have been lit. I would have been ecstatic at 154 to get Cam Ward. Trust him way, way more than Bryce Young. But on a team with Allen, it's really no problem. No issue whatsoever. I was honestly tempted to just stop at one quarterback with Josh Allen. But here I am. I would happily take Zach Charbonnet, but Hartman grabs Charbonnet. I'll just keep filling out receiver. Our number 1 is Christian Watson, and that is kind of risky. Just a little bit. So I still need volume at receiver. I want at least 8. I might take 2 more tight ends. So 1 more running back on this team. I need a minimum of 8 receivers. And then the 2-4-8-3. No, the math doesn't check out. It'd be a 2-5-8-3. That's definitely what I'm expecting to do. Do you believe what Kittle keeps telling reporters that he will be ready by week 1? For Kittle to say it is one thing. If Shanahan was saying this, that'd be a different thing. I would not trust Shanahan, but I think I'm more willing to trust Kittle. Because he's pretty upfront and honest with the media. Like, he has a pretty good relationship with the media, to be honest. Like, if anything, they've tried to make Kittle more of a celebrity than Kelsey in the media. So I would probably just believe him. My concern, though, is re-aggravation. I think injury re-aggravation is the main dilemma with George Kittle. Not so much if he's ready week 1, but how many games will he actually play and when will he be back on the field? Because I feel like it's pretty safe to assume he does go down. Last year, I took a lot of George Kittle. He's on my redraft team in the Blunt League, and I was happy to have him down the stretch in the playoffs. I had him in my lineup week 15. He was still pretty solid. But there was a lot of weeks when I didn't have him, and I drafted him round 3, so it was kind of a big price to pay. But I did get a really good value actually in our auction draft. Now that I remember, that is a factor there. So his price is so much cheaper now, and you can get such good values later. The tight end position is very deep. it feels worth it to take a chance that you have a top 5 tight end every now and then, but I'm not convinced he actually is ready week 1. And even if he is, I expect him to take a break midseason. I don't expect him to finish the year. Tonjes will get some starts, and if I had to guess, we're probably not getting more than like 12 or 13 games out of George Kittle. I think optimistically, he's only going to miss like 3 or 4 weeks, but more likely he misses closer to like 8. That'd be my guess on George Kittle. Yeah, who aims? That was a very chaotic stream. No doubt about that. Jerry is listening at work, so late reply, but not streaming later. And yeah, OTS banning things does seem like something AB would do. Big L. All right, well, Jerry's busy tonight, so maybe we go a little bit longer. There's not that many other live streams eligible. I kind of want to go Sean Tucker, but I think I'm just going to take the fall on Isaac Tesla. I've been willing to mix him in, and high touchdown upside, especially given an injury. We don't want to bet on that, but that's definitely one of the outs. Tesla has very good contingent upside because there's no other receiver behind him on the depth chart. I have no fear that there's another guy being upgraded. If Amon-Ra gets hurt, if J-Mo gets hurt, even if Laporta gets hurt, Tesla is also still pretty valuable. So receiver, I think, is done. Hartman. AF Deuces only has 3 running backs, so I would assume he takes Sean Tucker here. That's my assumption. But assuming he's gone, he does not go. Freiermuth definitely an option in this range. I could also pull up Katron Allen, my boy. I think with Kenneth Gainwell, I'm not dying to take Sean Tucker. Ayuk off the board. I'm going to go Katron because I have Kenny G. It's not the end of the world to handcuff Kenny Gainwell to Sean Tucker, but especially if Bucky actually does crush, then having both is pretty punitive. And I also just don't really see a huge value in betting on both when a name I just love is still here in Katron. I take a lot of Katron. But Collins says, understandable take on K9 might be the dynasty in me, but K9 has missed multiple games every season besides last year and has never finished over RB18 his rookie season now that he has the bell cow. Yeah, the injury risk is also relevant for K9. He's definitely missed time consistently, but that's really the only argument I can think of. The O-line isn't perfect, but it has gotten a little better, and the Andy Reid running back is pretty safe to bet on. They also brought back Eric Bieniemy, so I think I trust their play calling a little bit more, especially the run game. I think their overall mindset as a team will be a little bit more buttoned up. And I like that they added the Super Bowl MVP, given they are a Super Bowl or bust type of team. I think that is definitely a good fit for Kenneth Walker. So I know they're going to lean on him early. I trust them to lean on him late. I do not trust Emmett Johnson enough. And Imari DiMercado is pretty worthless in my opinion. So there's a chance that Ken Walker really crushes though. Like if you look at his production when Charbonnet has missed time, holy shit. Walker has put up like top 5 numbers when he gets the snap share to really be in his favor. That has happened over the years. So that's where I'm worried to miss the upside. But yeah, the injury risk is definitely a big factor. He has come off the field kind of consistently. But expectations, I get why he's marked up. But with that history, I think it's a little too rich for me. Also, Chiefs have proven they are not loyal to their RBs. But with that said, I definitely need more of him with. Yeah, you don't need to be 8% if you want to fade him a little bit. But 3% is probably a little too risky for my liking. 3% is not enough to move the needle in your exposures where the team that rarely has him is actually good enough to even advance. Um, if you go to like 5%, then at least you have a little bit more of a chance. If you're gonna fade K9, I think the lowest I would be comfortable being is like 6%. But that's not a player I want to be underweight on. I actually think I have around 12%, maybe 11 on Kenneth Walker. Did I see the schedule draft feature under the higher dollar drafts? I did. I saw that on Twitter. I have not tried it out though. I have not given it a try as of yet. One of these picks, I'm going to go David Njoku. I'm not going to take Stowers. I'm just going to bet on Goddard. I'm still not a Stowers believer. Maybe I should take him in the $1 format, but I trust Goddard a lot. I don't think it's worth it. With number 2, I could go Jatavian Sanders. Maybe. That feels terrible. Holy shit, that's waving the white flag. That's pretty terrible. Ingram still had 77 points. Ingram had 76 fucking targets. That's kind of crazy. 50 catches for Ingram. Do I just take Ingram today? I think I just take Knox, honestly. Fuck. This is a tough spot. Nah. My ranks still have Colby Parkinson. I'll stick with that. A Rams tight end, definitely going to be used enough to mix in. Last year, Parkinson had 8 touchdowns. Parkinson, probably still a very safe pick. It's just very crowded alongside him. But all right, the team is interesting. Allen and Bryce Young. Who cares on Bryce Young unstacked, but just need the points. We are betting on Allen. Sadly, though, did not get the stacks. DJ Moore was 1 pick away. So was Dalton Kincaid, and I just really did not want Khalil Shakir. So maybe I should have saved a Keon Coleman pick for late, but I really don't give a shit. Allen, let's bet that he drops 45 because it's on the back of like 2 rushing touchdowns, and you don't really need him stacked up all the time. Whatever. This little Dalmatian doesn't excite me very much, to be honest with you. But Saquon Hampton, that could really hit, especially if I'm wrong about Saquon. But might be dead because Saquon might just get hurt. Scatterboo, though, RB3 always feels lit. Kenny Gainwell, RB4, very strong. And then my favorite RB5 for the price. I've actually been taking Katron more often lately than Tank Bigsby. And I wouldn't be shocked if Katron moves up to like 25+% exposure pretty soon. He's at like 18% last I checked. I have been absolutely hammering Katron Allen. But he's still way less exposed in my shares than Bigsby. But with Saquon, I'm not going to take Tank Bigsby on the same team. I'll take them separately, not together. Christian Watson, wide receiver 1, risky, but could drop 20 points a lot. Could actually be a top 15 option. BTJ also could crush. His ADP could be a league winner. So let's hope that we're right on that. Alec Pierce hopefully is healthy. Same with Chris Godwin. But if that is the case, both of them will definitely pay off the picks we took. Matthew Golden, willing to take the bet and stance on him, taking the year 2 leap. They definitely moved off other receivers. It's a pretty decent bet, in my opinion. For the price, I like it a lot in the Packers offense. But then Diggs, wide receiver 6, definitely feels pretty safe. Trey Harris and Isaac Tesla, I think I caught up late enough where the touchdown upside of these two is the main bet. I'm not counting on them desperately like I risked waiting on receiver that long. But Goddard, Njoku, and Colby Parkinson, maybe not the best tight end room, but for the price, could be lit, especially if Goddard scores another 10 touchdowns like he did last year with 11. So interesting team. Again, not very stacked. I don't have either quarterback stacked, actually. So that's the problem with the team. Maybe it has no chance because of that. But fuck it. An Allen team We don't really care about QB2. We don't really care about the stacks. He's just really worth this high of a price tag, and that's what makes him worth the pick, standing alone. But Chad says Kittle looks solid at tight end U. From what I saw, he looked okay. He looked a little bit clunky. I wouldn't say he looked great. Solid is kind of like as optimistic as I think I could describe it. He didn't look like he had true burst. If he wasn't like one of the founders of it, and like for the sake of like the media and stuff, I'm not sure he would have shown up the same way. But maybe I'm being too pessimistic. Maybe he does not miss any time and stays healthy. Tyler says, so you think Kittle will be like Neighbors, missing 6 to 8 games? I wouldn't say 6 to 8. I would say maybe like 3 to 4. If it's week 1, but I could definitely see him go down mid-season and then be very cautious with him, where he's had a hamstring injury that cost him like 6 to 8 games before. I could see an ankle injury, or, you know, he tore his Achilles. Like that's not good. I could see him have some leg injuries that keep him out about 6 to 8 games. It's possible, but 4 to 6 I think is probably the safer estimation on the year. Neighbors possibly, but that's starting to sound a little too pessimistic on Neighbors. I don't know if I would bet on that. They both probably miss like 4-6 games. But Hartman says, I was trying to slow roll you on Tucker, but it just gave you time to pivot. Did you want me to take Tucker there and pair him with Gainwell? At least today, I'm willing to pay. I have a shit ton of Sean Tucker. That's the main reason. I have a lot of Sean Tucker. He fell to 197 in this lobby. That's a pretty good price. Yeah, situation for K9 definitely upgraded. We'll see if though he can stay healthy. Yeah, the contract is a pretty safe, reliable bet. They also didn't bring in any other weapon in free agency. Had they brought in a bunch of receivers or drafted some, I might be concerned, but they paid Ken Walker, and then they didn't really add any other names other than Emmett Johnson, really. There's not that many players to compete with him. I wouldn't be comfortable under 10% on K9, says Hartman. Do we suddenly trust K9 health? I mean, even if he misses 3 games mid-season, I still think he could be the guy you need down the stretch. I could still see top 8, top 6 production out of Ken Walker on the year. In terms of points per game, even if he misses time, he's still worth it. But yeah, Ingram, that's a fair point. I didn't take Ingram. I was tempted, you know, but it's kind of like Troy Franklin's 100+ targets. It's like, really, how much does that really fucking matter when they're all behind the line of scrimmage? Especially for Ingram, they're never deep down the field. It's pretty worthless. Once I had a pick'em that involved Evan Ingram catching 4 receptions, and he dropped 2 of them and thankfully still hit on the 4 catches. But I was like, are you fucking kidding me? He had 7 targets in that game, 4 catches and 2 drops. I was fucking livid. Colin Stewart says, it helps that I have 15% Bijan and 12% Gibbs. That helps. Yeah. Part of it is also like, what side of the board are you drafting from mostly? I have a shit ton of teams from pick 8. So Ken Walker easily lines up at 17 quite often. I have a decent amount of Ken Walker and O'Marion Hampton. But Darren Waller over Evan Ingram. We're not taking Ingram. We're still not taking Ingram, but it is worth peeking at Denver's target share on occasion. I just rolled the dice on Eric All. I kind of want to wait for some camp reports before I start doing that. I don't know, but I don't take Gesicki. I'll tell you that. Justin Jolie over Evan Ingram. That's fair. It definitely gets weird doing multiple, especially 3, even 2 can fuck with you. But the little Dalmatian might not excite you, but you know what will? A stripper named Cinnamon. Okay, Stockton. Okay. Zero. So at least got this hurt stack. Uh, is that what you got on this one? No, you got it on a different one. Yeah, we're trying to get 20K in this. We're shooting for upside. Maybe I need more stack. Peter though has a bag of Ingram. I think he's going to keep the job, and it's a productive offense. Interesting. I mean, they do pay him a lot. We drafted him with confidence last year. The Waddle signing, though, probably makes it worthless. Yeah. What's his matchup week 17? I want to know now. I'm going to find out. Week 7, the Carolina Panthers are playing at home versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That should be a pretty solid divisional game. I wouldn't expect the Bucs to hold back Tedero McMillan in that matchup. I would assume Bryce plays pretty decent home against the Bucs. They've played them pretty well over the years. The fact that the Niners are allowing him to work out outside of their facility speaks volumes, I guess, but I still worry. A-Rod, though, giving me the blunt emoji. I'm going to pack a bowl. It's not ready, but we're definitely going to take a rip. It's been a minute, but Jamie is not in this lobby, wants me to rate his team. Let me rate my team first. Let me do that real quick. Allen, Bryce. Oh, no, we already did. My team's pretty solid structurally, but doesn't have the stack. That's right. Started Chase, A.J. Brown, and Tate, Reed, Concepcion, Antonio Williams, Trey Harris, Horton. We have Fannin, Chig, and Otten. Running back Etienne, Scadaboo, Hubbard. Don't love the Hubbard pick, but Jonah Coleman, yikes. Katron, I love it, though. Kind of hate it. Yeah, who are your quarterbacks on this? That's good to know. There's a few picks I really don't like, but receiver feels fine. If Concepcion hits, you're good. I don't love the Antonio Williams pick very much. Torrey Horton also pretty mid. Tight end feels okay, but Fannin feels kind of overpriced. I know he's your boy, though. I don't love the running back depth with Hubbard and Coleman. That's where you lost me, for sure. Yeah, they play the Bucks. It could be worse. Jiri, don't love Kittle, supremely talented, but injury history, age, not great signs. Yeah, the re-aggravation risk is the main reason I don't take Kittle, but he's going at an affordable range, and you can still fill it out with volume. Like, you're going to take 3 tight ends every time, so you might as well grab Kittle on occasion. But I prefer to only do it with Brock Purdy. That's the main idea on my Kittle teams. I want it stacked. Definitely. Yeah, not bad matchup for the Panthers, but Jamie about to smoke a fat bowl and get in the next draft. It looks like the poll says 73%, so we will draft another little Dalmatian. But Zero says Kittle on one leg is a top 12 tight end. He probably goes in an appropriate range. He's probably not worth fading too hard, but I'm not trying to pull him up too often. Down the stretch, maybe, but I would see them also want to keep him healthy for the playoffs if they have that choice. I could also see that factoring in. But their receiving room is pretty thin this year. That is also a big reason to trust him. Yeah, I did not get Kincaid. He got sniped, unfortunately. I would also agree. I don't think they're ready for a Super Bowl this year. I wouldn't bet on it. It's like a last hurrah, but I think the writing's on the wall. They've passed the window with their current setup. Got a Niners dominant team in the overflow. Purdy, Kittle, Evans, McCaffrey, and Christian Kirk. That's pretty solid. Worth hyper committing every now and then. Gonna buy a kitty cat named her Cinnamon. That's not a bad name for a cat, honestly, but it reminds me of like there's Men in Black 2. I feel like the cat in that is named Cinnamon. Something like that. It's like That's what it reminds me of. Niners Eagles game seems fun, but Eagles path is tough week 15, 16. Yeah, their playoff schedule is brutal. If you can get an Eagles set up to week 17, they could crush, but they might not be very highly owned because their matchup against the Seahawks and who's the other one? Who's their other matchup? It's Seattle and Houston. Oh, bummer. Yeah, the Texans matchup, pretty tough as well. Bryce does own the Bucks, so I lucked out there. That was definitely not planned, but we lucked out there. Jaden Daniels and Baker. Antonio Williams was for the stack with Chicken. Okay, yeah. Quarterback's all right with 2. Daniels and Baker, that checks out. I think it's just a couple clicks I didn't love. I'd give it like a B-, maybe not C+, but the cat's name Orion. Oh yeah, that is. You're right on that. There's something where there's a cat named Cinnamon in like a prominent movie. But all right. Shamrock, I'm going to give you a chance to hop into the next Dalmatian. I'm also going to give anyone watching who hasn't signed up for Underdog yet a chance to get $50 in bonus funds. Promo code BLUNT. The link is in the description. Sign up code BLUNT. Not only gets you $50 after you play your first 5, you will also get your first deposit matched up to $1,000, a 50% deposit match on sign up. Check that out if you are new. If you're interested in hopping into these lobbies, follow the link down below. But as I pack this bowl, I'm going to take a look for any other team reviews. We had Hartman in here, Niners fan in here, they're members, and then Zero is also a member. I'm going to go kind of quickly, though. Let's start with Hartman right next to me with Herbert and Kyler. I got plenty of teams with those two. I love that combo. Javonte, Rico Dowdle, Jonathan Brooks, Tyrone Tracy, Charbonnet, Blue and Claiborne. So 7 RBs, a lot of injury risk on this one. You are fragile maxing, I like to call it. Brooks, Charbonnet, and then some possible zeros with Blue and Claiborne. Good luck, but if you can push it past to the playoffs, Charbonnet could win it all for you. Not bad with Javonte and Rico at the helm. But receiver, you took Jefferson and then got a little unique, pulling up A.J. Brown. Didn't fade Neighbors, took the risk in the 3rd round. I don't mind it. Carnell Tate, Jalen Coker. I sniped you on Bryce Young, but I don't think you really wanted him too much. If I had to guess, it's not that bad. Denzel Boston, Brandon Ayuk. Yeah, there's a lot of risk on this one. Tons of risk, but then the elite tight end with Tyler Warren, I'm starting to believe he's an excellent pick. I like taking Tyler Warren at cost. Anywhere in the 6th feels like a good pick, but Greg Dulcich, for the value, he's fine. He's not the most exciting, but that extra running back, the Charbonnet luxury pick, definitely, you can afford it. I don't think it's bad. I think having 7 RBs on this team makes a lot of sense. The 2-7-7-2 with the bet that Neighbors works out. Yeah, worth the risk, especially for $1. Have no issues. Herbert is unstacked. Kyler is with Jefferson, but Herbert is unstacked. That's not the end of the world. It's easy to backstack him, though. You did not. We have Niners fan in here. Chad's also a member. Caleb at 65. Tyler Shuck at 128. That's pretty sweet. Ken Walker at 17. Travis at 32. Pretty solid combo. And then Baishal Tootin, Rashad White, Keaton Mitchell, and Jordan James. Solid, but the expensive price on Keaton Mitchell. Worth mixing in, though. You get the bring back with Ken Walker. Receiver, though, has Amon-Ra Luther Burden, the bring back there. QJ at pick 80. Ricky Pearsall, Jalen Naylor, A.D. Mitchell, Dontavian Wicks, Ted Hurst. The depth is terrible, but the top 4 are good enough. It's probably fine, but I do not like the depth here. Dontavian's okay, but Hurst is not my favorite click these days. And then A.D. Mitchell, Jalen Naylor, I think are kind of worthless. But Laporta on this team, Juwan Johnson, pretty good tight end room. No issue with that. Not bad. We can also take a look at Zero lastly. He has Lamar and Drake May. He got fucking pissed that Burrow was sniped, but Drake May is a solid consolation prize, even unstacked. Quinshawn, Chuba, Dobbins. Good luck with Chuba. Mason, Tajay, and Kamara. Don't love this running back room. I know you like Quinshawn. That's the only pick I kind of like. But if Dobbins gets hurt early like he always does, once he goes down, this running back room could be pretty mid. I do not like the depth very much, especially with Chuba. It feels kind of gross. But Jamar Chase, Zay Flowers, T. Higgins. So Burr on this team would have been much, much more exciting. It's still not bad without him, though. You still have the bring back with Lamar. So you can only start one quarterback. It's not that bad. Pittman, though, pretty solid pick. Trey Tucker, Troy Franklin, Tyquan Thornton, and Rashad Bateman. So getting a little bit different with 3 round 18 clicks. But then Trey Tucker, wide receiver 5, is pretty solid. Andrews and Hunter Henry, fine with those 2 tight ends. A lot of red zone targets for these 2, but maybe not the most yardage out of either guy. If anything, I think Hunter Henry could have more yards than Andrews. But Andrews stacks up nicely. No issue with that. The quarterback room is fine with Drake May. You checked out. A-okay. All right, our final draft of the evening. This contest is probably full tomorrow, so we're getting in while we can. I need to pack this bowl, though. I kind of ignored it. But I can do that while we wait for the lobby to fill while the draft is starting. I will enter the little Dalmatian in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Sweet. We got a bunch of spots eligible. I think you may have hit the pre-flow rather than the actual lobby, more likely. But sweet, I get pick 2. It's about time. We are rocking it up. Next to J-Rock to party at the 101 and 102. Res Dog is next to me at the 103. Tynasty got pick 4. Nice to see you in this lobby. Zero's in here again. Money Mike, not sure if you're watching, but Stewie Griffin, is that you? That's pretty dope. Fun fact, actually, now I'll share. Seth MacFarlane hit on my sister at a party once when she was 16, and his move is to give you the Stewie voice. That's how Seth MacFarlane likes to hit on teenagers in the early 2000s. Niners fan at pick 8. Chad, what's up? We got big game. Jamie in the house. Yo, Jamie, sweet. Good to see you. At pick 9. T-Bone. Not sure if you're watching, but welcome in. And then rock the Subaru. No, rock the suburbs at pick 11. Then Who Hames right at the pick 12, right at the turn. Good to see you, Who. Thank you for popping in. Usually I'm a bit late for Who Hames to pop in. Who Hames doesn't draft too many times on other people's streams, but always fun to draft with you, Who Hames. If anyone hasn't checked out Who Hames, a reminder, awesome channel over there. Gilmore Girls. That's definitely. I've never watched Gilmore Girls. I have no idea if that's valid or not, but team clearly needed Keenan Allen. That's correct, Slayton. I have not taken Keenan on the stream today, but I've taken Keenan many times over the last few days. Like the last week, I feel like I've taken Keenan like 10 times. 3 times earlier today. So 10 times, probably an exaggeration. But I took him with Steve Schaup last week. And I'm not trying to do it all the time, but there's a world where Keenan does play and does really hit in some of these time box contests, especially. It's worth mixing in. But if I had like 1,000 total stacks, I'd maybe only do like 50 total mega stacks and the rest more skinny. Yeah, I think the skinnier ones are probably wiser. Maximum 2. And if it's 2, it's better to be a pocket passer, but then there's an offense that's just so prolific where I just want as many pieces as possible. There are exceptions, I think, to the rule where it's probably worth it to have some mega stacks mixed in. But I wouldn't do a mega stack on every single team. I would do it for maybe like 4 or 5 teams, maybe up to 8. But you're welcome, Zero. Good luck in that lobby, and good luck in this one. But Colin is in here at 7. Let's fucking go. He's Stewie. Yo. Welcome in here. Colin Stewart. For a second when I saw it, I thought that might be you. But good to see you. Possibly our first draft with Stewie. So first time ever drafting, I'll give you a team review as well. I'll take a look at a bunch of people, in all honesty. Because this is a full lobby. A bunch of friends and family for the last one. We'll do some team reviews. Sure. I'll just stick to top ADP. I'll go Nico. I don't want to be underweight. Nico Collins. Seth, yeah, right? I mean, does it shock you? Does it shock you? But to do it with the Stewie voice is fucking weird. I feel like all the voices, though, on that show are not going to help get you. Imagine trying to pick up women with Peter Griffin's voice. That's strange, but can stack heavier with players that have full season value. Don't stack guys late in bulk. Like, don't stack Knicks with Franklin, Bryant, and Mims, but like Knicks, Harvey, Sutton, Bryant, sure. Yeah, that's a fair take, Sladen. I don't mind that. Jamie in at the 9. I have another one I joined. Gonna auto that one. Cheers. Good luck, everyone. And we are ready to hit the pipe. It is packed and loaded. Let's go. Missed it. Good luck in your lobby, Shamrock. Hopefully we draft with you another time. But Paulino, only a little bit. It's just a little fun fact. Me and Thad are in the overflow. Gotcha. Pre-draft, no, don't worry. I will say, though, my sister probably shouldn't have been at that party as well. My sister probably didn't need to be at that party as well. But nah, fucking weird. Impressive to get so many friends and family in this draft. These fill up every few seconds. I know. It's kind of a bummer when I see it already full when, like, as soon as I join, it's like, yeah, most of you didn't have a chance. But then today we did have at least this one with literally, I think, 10 out of 12, if not all 12. Money Mike is the only, like, big question. Then otherwise it's T-Bone and Rock the Suburbs. I think we have at least 9 out of 12. But there's a maniac in the 12 hole. He goes Genty, Rashi Rice, Lad McConkey, and Cam Scatabo. There is a maniac. Definitely. The skinnier ones are probably the wiser choice. I say the same thing about women. Stockton in here with with the takes. I will take Waddle. I'll lock that up. We got Jeremiah Love, by the way, in the 3rd. I don't think I really mentioned that. We just kind of took him kind of on the hush-hush. I took Jeremiah Love today. Not happy about it. Colin going for the ultra upside, but doesn't love his start. I will take Devontae Adams. And with Bijan and Jeremiah, there's a running back I can get at the 6-7 turn that I would like to mix in, actually. There's one running back I actually like a lot in the 6-7 turn. And I'm not going to like him as much if he's at the 5-6 turn. And it's trending like he's moving in that direction. So I'm trying to scoop him up actively while I can. And if you're a longtime viewer of the channel, if you know who I'm talking about, I'll spoil it right here. It's Chuba Hubbard. If you want to snipe me on Chuba, you know, I guess I'll just let you know now. You better take him because I'm not going to pass. If there's one running back I desperately want at the 6-7 turn, it's, if you watch this channel, you already know it's Chuba Hubbard. Stewie over Herbert. Yeah. The lisp, I can't imagine, is gonna help you. But so Colin Stewart, Stewie 15, goes Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, Trey McBride. I never like my starts when I go with Trey McBride, so don't blame you for not loving the team. But Evans and Lamar Jackson. Lamar with Derrick Henry. Lamar in the 5th, never a bad way to go. But Colin says, give me 3-7 McBride all day. I still don't love it, honestly. I'd rather take Breece Hall than Trey McBride. And I don't like taking Breece Hall at all. I don't love Trey McBride. Last year was so good, but I just don't really, I'm not convinced he puts up the numbers from last year. Huhaim saying Money Mike is in your streams a bit, so I assume he's here. Definitely possible. Also in this tournament, though, we could just have a bunch of auto drafters as well. But Zero saying, holy fuck, Jacobs saved the team. Or Jacobs is just like suspended. That probably doesn't happen. But what if Jacobs just doesn't score as many touchdowns this year? What if they don't want to see Jacobs celebrate as often this season just because of the weird vibes? What if he's like a locker room cancer? And what if they just go more pass heavy on the goal line with a new play caller? What if Sean Mannion leaving is an issue? What if Jacobs also is a bad pick? He's probably fine, though. Probably does save the team. The running back I was talking about that I really trust is actually Tony Pollard. So I did not get anyone to snipe me on Chuba Hubbard, but that was a bait and switch. Y'all are too sharp for that. Ladd at 36, more offensive than Rice at 13. Love to hear it, Sladen. Preach, brother. If you're right, I'm going to be ecstatic. Here, though, this is just the new price, and this contest dropped today. If you want Quentin Johnston, there's no concern that somebody else got him 20 picks cheaper in the same contest. So we go QJ here. Give me a Charger. I got my Charger. I'm happy. I need at least one Charger to be satisfied with the roster. Today, it's Quentin Johnston at pick 74. Yeah, that guy is going to be an early 6-rounder soon. Pollard, I would assume, moves up over the course of the summer. It's definitely the way I would like to play the Tennessee backfield. Tajay consistently gets hurt. Singleton would consistently get hurt out of Penn State in college. Pollard has been consistently giving you 1,000 rushing yards every single season. And despite his leg injury a few years ago, that's really the only instance he's like come off the field. And he was back on the field and fully healthy the year after. He's been pretty reliable to stay on the field. On occasion, there's a random game where he's off and misses time. There was like a week where Tajay had like 2 touchdowns in his absence, 20 points. But in general, Pollard is much more healthy than Tajay Spears. And I don't feel like the rookie will ever threaten him. So I would like to play the Titans backfield through Tony Pollard. And he feels like one of the safer running back 3 backstops that is kind of locked in as the workhorse. I just don't think he's going to ever fall under 70% on the touch split. I do not believe it's a 1-2 workhorse, 1A, 1B type of situation. Pollard, I really trust. And last year, it was just touchdowns that held him back. He was very consistently giving you like 9, 10 points in the early season. And then down the stretch, he had a couple spikes. Never anything more than like 16 points, though. But like, if you just give him more touchdowns, he will hit 16 points a lot more often. He'll be a nice backstop if he can provide at least like 8 touchdowns. But when you do look into Pollard, there is one issue that almost never happens. Pollard's last 3 years, he's maxing out at 6 touchdowns. 5 rushing touchdowns last year. The year before that, 5 rushing touchdowns. 6 the year before that. Only in Dallas did he have 12 total touchdowns and any in the passing game. These numbers are from Dallas. This 229 points is a Dallas season. That is definitely still the case. But 195 in 2023, it went down to 180 in 2024. And then 169, it's consistently gone down all 3 years. His passing game numbers have dwindled in Tennessee. So that's kind of the only dilemma. He doesn't catch as many passes as you would like. But in terms of just like raw touches, there's not that many running backs that are safer behind him. And in general, I am optimistic about the Titans' backfield and offense. Their offense really being better. So give me Pollard at 71. I would agree. Pollard's still underpriced due to take. I'm on the clock. Let me focus, actually. I'm just going to go double quarterback here because while maybe I can push it and get Stafford at 119, that's really not a guarantee. And my team doesn't have that many stacks that I want. Obviously, Herbert was never really eligible, also a 7th round pick. QJ just unstacked is not as fun, but I have Waddle, and I kind of regret passing on him with Bo Nix earlier. So this will be a bit more common of a build. But getting Bo Nix feels way better with Jalen Waddle. I like my Bo Nix teams a lot more when I have them stacked up with Waddle. Yeah, I mean, if you want to pull up Trevor at pick 100, that's pretty justified. Pretty much justified. But not sure about that. Message 0. You're saying Pollard's still underpriced due to the take locked drafters. That's a difficult thing to say, shockingly. Take locked drafters with Love possible draft pick. That is true. He used to go really fucking cheap down the board. I remember when I had Bindles on the show. This was in, I think, late March. We took Tony Pollard at like 112. We also got him on a team with Jeremiah Love, if I'm not mistaken. We drafted 2 teams that day. I think one of them had Jeremiah Love. Maybe the other one had Pollard. But I wish I was taking Pollard that often back in the day. I do believe that the Titans would have taken Jeremiah Love if available, but we'll never know. He went at pick 3. It was just never on the board. So that was just something I wasn't factoring in. And as much as I've chased up Pollard in round 7, I feel like now it's very critical to try to get some shares before he's on the opposite end of the board and maybe going ahead of Jadarian Price. I think he could leapfrog Jadarian Price a month from now. So get your Pollard shares now. Looks like 0 had over 20% Pollard. Nice. I was worried about the Tennessee edition of Jeremiah Love. And on this team, I have Jeremiah Love and Tony Pollard. I have both of them on this team as well. Almost forgot. I took Jeremiah Love. Goff has circled back. J-Rock would probably take him. He has JMO and Laporta. Do I pull a dick move and just take Goff here? I think I got that in. I'll go C-Rod. I'll give him to you. J-Rock, I will give him to you. And then here, I'll make the bet on the Dalton Kincaid breakout. If he stays healthy, this pick is worth it. For sure. Pretty reliable bet to be the number 2 target in Buffalo if he stays healthy. So taking him unstacked I don't think is terrible. And previously I'd kind of been playing it where I only really want him with Josh Allen. I've been taking Goddard ahead of him, but I'm starting to realize I should just mix him in more. And anywhere in the 11th round, he's probably worth it. The tight ends in this round are some of the best you can find. Kelsey can finish top 5 in total points. Maybe doesn't score as many touchdowns this year, but can definitely finish top 5. Andrews could finish with 12 touchdowns and be worth it on that alone. But Kincaid could just stay healthy and be another double-digit touchdown maker in Buffalo. There's not that many weapons we draft in the first place. Like it's James Cook, Josh Allen, DJ Moore, and then I don't really want Khalil Shakir, so we can just take Kincaid at cost and feel pretty good about it. I think Kincaid can outscore Harold Fannin this year. I think that's possible. Now, some things we need to go horribly wrong with Fannin, but it's the Browns. They probably will. But Huhaim saying Pollard going to be ahead of price by the end of the week. Things move slowly sometimes. It's been trickling up reliably, but generally pretty slow. I think Pollard is like officially at the 6-7 turn, but generally speaking, I usually see him in the 7th. He's in the 70s. So a week to move up to pick 63, 64, 61. I would give it maybe 2 weeks, but we'll see. Pollard will be ahead of Judkins eventually with how much people hate Judkins and the Browns. That's possible if the hype train starts to build on Tennessee. I could totally see that. Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. I took Goff earlier today at 127, and it was also unstacked, so I don't really want to force the Isaac Tesla bet, and I went with Stafford and Bo Nix, so I'll just trust them a little bit more. Stroud also would have been worthy of my team. I will assume Cam Ward makes it back because J-Rock already has 3 quarterbacks. So instead, kind of just want a player I like in this range. Receiver is not really speaking to me too much, so I'll go Hunter Henry, a player I really trust. He was top 3 at the position in red zone targets last year. I know A.J. Brown is joining the team, but I think the role that Hunter Henry plays, the chemistry he has with Drake May is just not going to go anywhere, and I feel pretty safe betting on it. I like the Hunter Henry price a lot. Because tight end is a position that's very much driven by touchdowns. And if you're giving me top 3 red zone looks at the position, I will favor that a little bit more than other picks. So I like Hunter Henry a lot. He's a former Charger, so there's also that aspect to it. He's just a great player. A true professional. He was taught by the best. Antonio Gates gave a little imprint on some of his early career skill set, and he's been a true professional. He's actually gotten better every single year in New England. The tight end position is a position that ripens with age. It's like fine wine. I'm not afraid to get one of the older tight ends. They play very well once they've mastered the position. Huhaim saying price negative piece today, going to move him down very fast, in my opinion. I guess I didn't catch that, but I've just been hyping myself up on Zach Charbonnet recently. So for that reason, it instantly correlates to fading Jadarian Price. I have not been taking him in the 6th, like at all. I'm definitely taking Jaden Daniels above him. I'm taking Drake May over Jadarian Price. I'm easily taking Brian Thomas Jr. over him. So I have been fading Jadarian Price for quite some time. And in all honesty, the last time I really took him with excitement might have been day one of Best Ball Mania when I got him in the 70s. I think I took him 72, maybe 74. I think I pulled the 102 day one of Best Ball Mania, 102 or 103. And I took Jadarian Price in the 7th round. That was day one, and I have not taken him very much at all ever since. It always feels kind of sad and disappointing to take him. Sladen says, I don't see how it's going to climb when camp reports will be all about Spears and Singleton in regards to Pollard. Yeah, there is a lack of hype, but I think ultimately once you just really look at that backfield from a sober lens, if you don't think Pollard gets hurt, you can't really fade him. And it's just locked up touches compared to no one else in that range. Ramondre will definitely cede some ground to Travion this year. That's just inevitable. Everybody else is in a time split there. Unless Chuba just, lucks out because Jonathan Brooks goes down first week of training camp. That's kind of the only situation I can think of. Otherwise, though, Pollard just locked in to a lot of touches. And I did have him on this team, so Cam Ward does make a little bit of sense, albeit not the most. But I've been trying to click Flournoy more. I need receiver points, so I will go Ryan Flournoy. We have been trying to increase the exposure on the Cowboys' handcuff receiver. That's kind of his main value, but I could also see a Michael Gallup-esque season out of Ryan Flournoy. I do like AJ Barner a little bit, but I think I'm going to save it. If anything, I should probably go Gunnar Helm if I'm going to grab a tight end. So if I time out, that's going to be the pick. But in all honesty, I don't really want to do that here. I think I will, though, just because it makes a lot of sense. And despite some upside with Kincaid, true breakout potential, possibly top 5 level value, he could also miss half the year. He opted against offseason surgery again, and that's always been a problem. Kincaid just can't stay healthy in the NFL. Hunter Henry, also a little bit older, and getting the year 2 breakout on Helm stacked up with Cam Ward. That's my favorite back stack to do in Tennessee. Some people like to take Calvin Ridley. I do not. I think the main argument for Ridley is him getting traded. It's way too crowded in Tennessee for him to be super valuable. Even as the third guy, I just don't like it. And he had very bad injuries last year. I think he could be washed. So I don't like Ridley. And then the bet between Chimeri DK or Elik Yamanor doesn't feel great. I prefer Chimeri. However, neither is compelling enough to be that excited about in the final round. So that'll be open to me. I know for a fact, though, that no tight end will take Gunnar Helm off the field at a high clip. When they want a tight end to be running routes and catching passes, all of those plays will be drawn up for Gunnar Helm. He had some flashes last year, enough for them to trust moving off of Chigo Okonkwo, a reliable veteran that had been getting 75 plus targets last few straight seasons. So there is a lot of volume eligible to go in Gunnar Helm's favor this year. Pollard is 29. Come on. Efficiency, drop-off age, still great projected volume, though, and Tajay doesn't have an ACL. So, sounds like you like Nick Singleton. If I had to guess, you draft a decent amount of Singleton. But here's the thing. Last year, I was worried about Pollard's age drop off as well. At 28, I'm willing to factor that in, and it just never happened. It never happened. So I'm a little less prone to play the pessimism argument in terms of injury risk. Injuries are pretty unpredictable, and oftentimes they happen to rookies. You know, look at Cam Scatterbu last year. Look at Omarion Hampton last year. Sometimes age really doesn't factor in at all. Look at Christian McCaffrey. He had terrible injuries when he was younger. Last year he stayed healthy. He's also 29. So Joe Mixon, a terrible example. Derrick Henry, a amazing example. There's a lot of different factors. Last year, though, I saw enough out of Pollard to trust that when healthy, he's not coming off the field. As long as he is healthy, I think he is the value there among those running backs. If you need a running back at the 6-7 turn, I recommend Tony Pollard. You are well within your rights, though, to think differently. We are about to be on the clock, but again, I am struggling to catch up with chat. I talk too much on maybe some of my take explanations. But you know what contest we're in? We're in the fucking $1 Dalmatian. Give me an all or nothing swing on Tank Dell. We have Nico Collins on this team, so it would have been nice to have the double and have CJ Stroud instead of Cam Ward. But if there is a second Texans wideout that I think Stroud will try to get the ball to, it is Tank Dell until he gets hurt. I think he's gonna kick the tires with Tank Dell until he crashes out. That's got to happen, if I had to guess. I really wanted Terrence Ferguson. Shit. I'll go Colby Parkinson instead. We're in round 17. I wanted him on the team. J-Rock took my guy. So that was kind of annoying. We'll go Parkinson instead, though. Parkinson was the guy that scored the most touchdowns. He was the better stacking partner last year. I kind of forgot. Yo. This is a $1 team. You know what? We're stopping at 4 running backs. Because I need another receiver. Stafford, Bo Nix, and Cam Ward. Bijan, Jeremiah Love, Tony Pollard, and Chris Rodriguez. I'm going to stop at 4 running backs on this one. Because I took 4 tight... I totally forgot that was going to be 4 tight ends. I just planned to take T-Ferg, and then he was off the board, and I was down on the clock. I'm a little faded. It's a $1 team. I clearly don't give a shit as much today about some of these teams. I have not forced some stacks. I have passed on some of the builds I was setting up. Like, passing on Burrow and Nix on that team was definitely emblematic of, like, how I approach this $1 draft. It's just not that exciting where I just have to lock it up. Damn. 4 tight ends. Who knows? Maybe that's plus EV, and we don't know it. But Singleton is this year's Jaden Blue. That's a fair take. I wouldn't be shocked if that aged well. Bucky smashed as a rookie because the Bucs were top 5 offense, not just his own talent. Seahawks offense will regress a lot. That's a fair take. Yeah, the Bucs O-line definitely makes people look better than going elsewhere, typically, especially 2 years ago as opposed to last year. Been clicking Sharps at a decent clip recently as well. Not sure how to feel about it. Really believe he'll get his rollback once healthy and at cost. It's a nice value. I agree with this take. I don't want to find myself desperate to catch up on Charbonnet because there's some really good reports and it's a more obvious click a month from now. And his price is in the 120s, 110s all of a sudden. I think this is a very reasonable price to be paying on Charbonnet because the best case scenario bet is basically my best case scenario argument with Tank Bigsby. It might be a more crowded backfield, but still he's talented enough to have the goal line job on a productive offense. And historically, Charbonnet has been really productive. So he's just too good, I think, to fall any further. He's like by far the best option when healthy left on the board there. So if there's a little bit more upside than we expect. Charbonnet could be a great pick. He goes to Zero's team on this one at 164. I would have been happy to take him at 167. But Zero also takes George Holani. So the full fade on Jadarian Price. But Pat Bryant circles back, stacks with Bo Nix. We're in business there. We get the Waddle, Pat Bryant combo, and then receiver feels okay enough, especially if Tank Dell works out. This team could be pretty sweet. I'll get some flex points at a tight end, that's for sure. Yeah, tonight, I guess so. I totally forgot that I had 3. But holy shit, I'm so far behind in the chat. Stafford, Bo Nix, and Cam Ward. Bijan, Jeremiah Love, Tony Pollard, and Chris Rodriguez in a $1 entry. You know what? It actually checks out. There's actually some merit to stopping at 4 here. I don't feel behind, in all honesty. Not at all, especially if Pollard stays healthy. Nico Collins, Jalen Waddle. That's a pretty good 1-2 punch. Adams is number 3, feels great. QJ just in the Chargers system, worth it. And then Flournoy, maybe an injury really vaults him up the scoreboard one week, and the remainder of the season he delivers. But then Tank Dell, all or nothing bet, should pay off week 1, and then we'll see if he stays healthy beyond that point. But at the moment, I do think Stroud probably favors him as the number 2 target. So worth the bet, especially in a low-risk contest. And then Pat Bryant stacks up with Bo Nix. Totally worth it. But then Kincaid, the elite upside. Henry could drop 2 touchdowns in a given week. Could also disappear. Same with Kincaid and his injury risk. Helm stacks up. So was a fine click, but did reach on him by 9 picks. Maybe that was the bad decision there. But then Colby Parkinson just forgetting that I had 3 tight ends. It happens sometimes. It's fine. I honestly don't hate it. Not at all. Like, the Gunnar Helm stack is valuable. Colby Parkinson could be valuable with Stafford. And then we're not stacking up Bo Nix with Evan Ingram. So the injury concern on Kincaid, worth it. And then just like elite spike week potential with Henry. Not many players can drop 20 points in a given week. Henry also has the bring back against Bo Nix. That's also a factor as well. So I kind of forgot about that, but I do like that matchup a lot. Hunter Henry versus the Broncos, week 17. He's avoiding Pat Surtain, and that game could be a shootout. So let's go Hunter Henry for the win when it's all said and done. We win $20K on the back of Hunter Henry. That's what justifies it. All right. Team's solid. Honestly, I don't give a shit that I don't have a 5th running back. It's really not a problem whatsoever. If anything, maybe I should mix in more of these builds. I kind of like this quite a bit, to be completely honest with you. And C-Rod could absolutely pay off as your RB4. It's not bad. It's not bad at all. 0, I worry about Kubiak leaving more than Walker. That's definitely a huge factor there. That's why I find it hard to take JSN 5th overall. Without Kubiak, I don't see as many touchdowns for the roster. The yardage will be there, but the touchdowns I worry could be an issue. You'd have to guess they still lean on the run though, but it's going to be a big fall off without Kubiak and Ken Walker or Sharps. That, like, those 3 components are massive leaving the Seahawks. They could have a tough time replacing the running back production early in the year. So Darnold going to have to step up. I don't think he can. I know there's fear that he could have gotten benched last year. I was drafting a few Jalen Milroe teams in Superflex. I'll tell you that. Only in Superflex. But yeah, it's possible that never happens. They probably just lean on defense, given their coaching. It's probably the case. I would assume they don't play as well in the Rams matchups either. they only showed up on the road, and then like when they faced off against like elite quarterbacks. Stafford twice, but the division rivalry was huge, and then the Baker game at home are kind of the only instances, other than like really easy road games, where Darnold actually delivered and carried the team to a win. Darnold just wasn't that critical for their success last year. It makes sense. He did not win Super Bowl MVP. He's just not that critical to go off. But they did lose some pieces on the defense in free agency. The Seahawks are interesting. I would not bet on them to win the division once again. Helm and Wandale will be great safety blankets for Ward. Dable will scheme up those guys, the big plays for Tate. I think that sounds pretty legit. I don't trust Ridley at all, so I only want Tate, Wandale, or Gunnar Helm, to be honest with you, if I'm stacking. And then Pollard also makes some sense. Kubiak is gone. It could be really bad. I mean, look at look at the Lions. Their offense is pretty bad by comparison to the year prior. It was great for the average team, but it did take a dip considerably. David Montgomery really paid the price in terms of his consistency. He wasn't very productive, and then Laporta wasn't that consistent. There is going to be a drop-off. That is for sure. And it's a defensive team that wants to run the ball and just lost two really strong running backs. Until Charbonnet is at full strength, I worry about the run game a decent amount. You can run the same scheme. It doesn't need anything when you're missing the maestro. That's also a factor as well. He's great, but there's also always proteges that can expand on an already good foundation, I suppose. But if you bring in someone in the building, it's usually not the best candidate for the job. It's very rare that you do a full search about every possible job candidate. Colin Cowherd has a great take on this. And you wind up with someone that's in the building, odds are, if they weren't as good as the guy who already had the job, they're probably not the second best candidate in the entire job market. That I could see. Yeah, they were very productive, and they scored a lot of field goals. That's also a team that could settle for a lot of field goals as well. They have an elite kicker in Jason Myers. Jamie, I'll bet you a puppy next year that my team outscores your team in this draft. You know what? Let's take a look, Jamie. I'm willing to do that. Sure. I'm locking it in before I even see it, Jamie. I'm locking it in right now. Virtual handshake. Let's take a look at big game. Moderator and member. We got Herbert and Kyler. Can't complain. Walker, Breece Hall at 33, worth the discount. Javonte in this one, Keaton Mitchell, Dylan Sampson, Emmett Johnson. The Keaton price is a little gross, but top three, check out. Sampson in Cleveland, and then Emmett at 184. Interesting. Jefferson stacks, Carnell Tate, Jaden Reed, Wandale, Jalen Coker, Jalen Naylor, Darnell Mooney. You did not want Cam Ward, I see. You let Cam Ward fall. Instead, you took Jalen Coker and Keaton Mitchell. I think you should have taken Cam Ward instead of Keaton Mitchell, Jamie. You don't have to because you had two good quarterbacks, but you set up Carnell Tate and Wandale Robinson in that scenario. Cam Ward going to have a good season. So I think I would have taken Jalen Coker and Cam Ward at the turn if it was my team. But Naylor and Darnell Mooney, I don't take Naylor too often, but high spike week potential. He had multiple 100-yard games last year, so kind of like Ryan Flournoy, possibly worth it. But changing teams, I'm a little scared, honestly. And then Darnell Mooney could just be washed. Very injury-prone wideout. I might have taken an eighth, to be honest with you. An eighth receiver I think could really help because you have Tyler Warren stopping at 2 is not terrible. Hawkinson and Njoku. One of those might be unnecessary. And Hawkinson stacks up, so I think I would have possibly passed on Njoku, but he also stacks. So it's fair. 5 picks devoted to those two positions, quarterback and tight end. Makes some sense, but with Tyler Warren, I might have liked wide receiver 8. But if you're right on the receiver bets, you are going to be fine. Should be set. But like I said, I think swapping out Keaton with Cam Ward, I like this team a little bit more. But you have 2 good enough quarterbacks. It's not an issue whatsoever. But deal. I'll bet you a puppy next year, Jamie. My team outscores yours. I will keep an eye on this one. Char's probably not a terrible click. That playoff schedule is completely brutal on top of everything. Makes it a hard click. That is fair. The playoff schedule is not the most exciting. I will concede. At Philly, the Vic Fangio defense, never ideal. Then they are hosting the Rams. That got much tougher this season. And then last game of the fantasy schedule, week 17, they are at Carolina. That's a good spot, though. I'd be fine with that one. Possible, though, yeah, they lean on Sharps if their defense shows up. I would assume he's going to be given a chance to be the goal line back at the very least. I would assume he still maintains that role in the offense. Price, I don't think is going to steal that once Charbonnet's healthy. I would not believe the Seahawks are top 10 either. No, I would not believe that. Maybe when they get Charbonnet on the field, they score more touchdowns, but I would not bet on them to be top 10 this year. After losing K9 and Kubiak with the Super Bowl hangover, Seahawks won't be a top 10 offense. Stockton agrees. Julius got in at pick 3, got pretty happy with that mediocre team. We got a bunch of team reviews to do. I've been trying to catch up with the chat first, and I'm failing. Yo, what's up, Game Tight? Late to the party, but smashing the like. Appreciate it. Nice to see you. Ever in Flux, a Seahawks believer. A young core of absolute studs, just not on defense. If Torrey Horton can crush, that would be pretty lit. If Torrey Horton develops and Shaheed steps up, their passing game could be interesting. I'll give them that. If Darnold gets back to the Vikings days, those types of stat lines, it could be interesting. Possibly underestimating their passing game. But yeah, I think odds are the offense is just not required to step up enough because of the defense. They have the best defensive coach in the NFL. Rams are scary, but a little fragile. That's also fair. Lions dipped like 4-5 points per game, I believe. It was noticeable. Lions, Eagles. Yeah, Eagles are very much prone to this every other season. They end up losing a good play caller, getting someone that's nowhere near as good, and it's remarkable how much worse they've become. Yeah, significant drop-off when you lose someone like that. Who Hames? I love Keaton. Why are you hating? No, you don't, Who Hames. We all know you do not like that. Needed receiver depth. That's fair. Are we counting Kyler as a good quarterback? I think the bet in Minnesota is worth making, 0. The Kevin O'Connell NFL quarterback is usually a good player. J.J. McCarthy is not an NFL quarterback. So there's enough meat on the bone in Minnesota, enough weapons to carry him. I would count him as a good QB2. Worth quarterback 17 off the board. The Vikings quarterback is the 17th name off the board, the position. By ADP, I think that's a good, solid click. Yeah. Here's the thing, Who Hames, though. They are excellent on the road. They are a phenomenal, phenomenal road team. That was huge for them last year, and I believe even the year prior. Under Mike McDonald's tenure, they have been a very good road team. But part of that is the defense. Obviously, it's part of the defense. Yeah, a nice that's fair. Hit him with that's fair. You can usually move on pretty quickly. It's 2 a.m. and I'm high as a giraffe. is balls. Y'all want to do another little Dalmatian? I suppose it's still kind of early. It's only 10:45. I suppose I could. Let me rip through the team reviews, though. There's Zero, who's a team member. We have Big Game already reviewed, and then Huhaim's also a member. Huhaim's drafting for the first time tonight, and he's also 2 hours ahead. Let's read his team first. He has Mahomes and Jordan Love. That checks out. Surprise! You took Rashi in the second and paired him with Mahomes. What a shocker! What a surprise, Huhaim's. Genty and Scatabo, your boy. Rico Dowdle and Jonah Coleman. Wow, you took Coleman. I that's shocking. K-Tron at 180, your true colors show on K-Tron. Love to see it. Worth the pull-up. And then your favorite, Kimani Vidal. Yeah, this is a Huhaim's team for sure. Absolutely checks out. You did not take Hampton, so if he goes down, Kimani Vidal, your boy. Love the K-Tron click. I do not love the Coleman click, but otherwise I love the other five. I think you can remove Coleman from the equation, and honestly, I think the team is perfect at running back. So Coleman, I'm counting as the luxury. I'm willing to let it slide for the sake of depth. He also might be the goal line back. Could be Dobbins 2.0 once Dobbins inevitably gets hurt. But we're trusting Rashi on this team, so going with 7 I think is fair. Rashi with Mahomes, Ladd for the bring back. Christian Watson at pick 60, not bad. With Romadunze, love that turn to take 2 receivers. Stephon Diggs at 132, excellent. And then Ridley, I suppose there's a chance he gets traded to the Chiefs. You know, Hopkins got traded to the Chiefs. The Titans could do business. You might wind up with a backstack, but last I checked, Huhaim's, you think Ridley just pays off as number 3 in Tennessee? Let me know. Do you believe, like I do, that Ridley is mostly a trade value? Or do you just like him at cost in Tennessee? You just think Ridley is just a good pick. I disagree. I think it's very much trade dependent. I want to be underweight on Calvin Ridley because to bet on a trade is not the best course of action, in my opinion. But if you like him, that's legit. I do have a lot of faith in Ward, but he's just not like the play I want to go with in Tennessee. Give me Gunnar Helm over Calvin Ridley. That's my take. He got Ridley at a decent price, I think. He pulled him up by 6 spots, but at the turn, that's just kind of what you have to do. That late in the draft, it doesn't matter. It's pretty irrelevant. A 6-pick difference. Whether reaching on him or falling, it's all kind of a wash. It's all kind of the same. It's either you trust him or you don't. I will push back. I do not believe Ridley is a very good pick. I could be wrong though. He burned me so bad last year. I might just be bitter, man. I took a lot of Calvin Ridley last year. I was at like 14%. Calvin Ridley. It was a bummer. Very unfortunate. George Kittle, Isaiah Likely, Kenyon Sadiq. If Kittle hits, this team's a smash. The Sadiq pick, not my favorite, but Likely is a good option. And yeah, receiver feels strong enough with these top 4. Even with Stephon Diggs, Tyquan is another stacking partner. Pulling up Kittle, so he trusts him. I might have made Jonah Coleman something else. I think I might have made Jonah Coleman another receiver. That's really the only pick I don't like other than Ridley. Those are the only 2. And I guess Sadiq a little bit, but with Kittle, I don't think it's terrible. Because you probably get a lot of early season points. Neighbors is out, Likely shows up early on. If Kittle's healthy week 1, that's great, but he can ramp up and you're set. And then Sadiq might also miss a little time. That's the only risk factor there. But enough talent, tight end 3, I guess mixing him in every now and then. There's 3 picks here I don't love, but overall the team is totally fine. And then the bet on Mahomes, totally worth it. Oh, and I also forgot, Christian Watson's also stacked with Jordan Love. Even better. Even better. No issue overall with the team. Checks out. Also, a 3 of 12. Fair point. Yeah, a little extra wiggle room for error. I mentioned Zero's team as well. And Niner fan. Almost forgot. Niner fans in here as well as a team team review. Members only. Zero had Drake May again with Jackson Dart and Bryce Young. Dart is being slept on. As Dart moves into the 100s, it's such a good pick. I've been scooping up Dart a little bit more. J-Rock disagrees. Kyler not a good quarterback, but not a full fade based on weapons, coaching, and schedule. Yeah, the weapons you just have to believe in. Therefore, you can't fade him. Trusting KOC is worth it, though. Gotcha, Who Hames. Worth, I guess, not having zero Coleman, but I'm very, very low on Jonah Coleman. Jamie, my auto-drafted team is wild. I would imagine there's some fucking crazy teams in this one. Nothing wrong with that, Jamie. Nothing wrong with the 101 over and over. Okay. Back to Zero's team. Quarterback top 2, that's fine. The fall on Bryce Young worth taking at 173. Especially if he has a stack. You do not, but I've taken Bryce unstacked as well. His main argument involves some rushing upside in the first place. But Jacobs, like you said, might have saved the team. David Montgomery, Jalen Warren, Zach Charbonnet, Sean Tucker, and George Holani. The full fade on Price. Don't mind it at all. We did hype up Charbonnet in this lobby earlier today. Oh, you do have Brazel. I did not notice that. Of course you do. JSN for the bring back with Bryce Young. AJ Brown stacks up. Neighbor stacks up. Godwin, probably a good pick, especially after ADP. Myers at 116. Damn, that's a nice click there. That's pretty sweet. Trey Tucker and then Chris Brazel for the stack. Good luck with him. But then Kelsey at 125. Nice to get him to fall. And then Okonkwo at 140. Pretty fine with the tight end room. Receiver feels lit, especially with Myers at 116. Number 5 in the room. You have such top-heavy production, you can tolerate the risk factor with Neighbors. And then these two guys should be very productive floor plays and just a unique combo to have Myers that late. So, awesome team, Zero. As always, not many picks I can complain about. Zero has a green badge for a reason. He has a lot of experience. And this team is pretty sweet, especially if Jacobs checks out. That's the only major risk. Running back could just be terrible. I think I trust Montgomery enough. Love his early season schedule. If Jacobs does miss time, he could cover you. But like I said, if Jacobs is not just worth it, then maybe you're screwed. Warren's pretty mid. Not a good touchdown bet in general, and then might be waiting a long time for Charbonnet. And Holani just might do jack shit. Tucker might also do nothing. But, all right. Pretty solid at receiver, though. Can't complain on that. J-Rock is in here. Has Hurt, Dak Prescott, Jared Goff. We did leave him, Jared Goff, for the double stack with Gibbs, JMO, and Laporta. So triple stack. He did not let me have Terrence Ferguson. What happened to doing each other a solid, J-Rock? Jahmyr Gibbs, Swift, Brooks, Blue, and Lloyd. These two are risky as fuck. If Brooks delivers, though, we can tolerate the risk factor. Not bad at all. Yeah, that's fine. Running back is checking out. Pickens, Devontae, JMO, Concepcion, Jawan Jennings, Boston, Tesla, and Stribling. It's fine. It's not like insane, but it's fine. Pickens and Smith feels pretty solid. But honestly, behind JMO, it feels pretty gross. Oh, you also have Tesla on this team, another stacking partner. No, that's fair. I screwed up my team. I screwed up myself. With the fourth tight end. I probably did not need Gunnar Helm. But Sam Laporta, Terrence Ferguson, yeah. It makes sense there to take T Ferg if you like him. It's totally fine. I'm just faded, man. That's really what it is. Yeah, my 4 tight end build. I almost forgot I had 4 tight ends on this team already because I never do it. But fun, worth it. Rez Dog in here, Caleb Shuck, Travis Bucky Corum, Kyle Monangai, Tajay, and Singleton. Okay, interesting. The fade on Pollard with both of them. Your last click with Singleton. I suppose it's fine. I will excuse that. It's not necessary to have both, but I think that's fine. Corum and Monangai, though. This running back room, a little questionable. This running back room could be terrible, could be great. A lot of backups, though. A lot of split backfields overall. Jamar, London, Mackay, Shakir, McMillan, Cooper, and Wicks. Not my favorite receiver room, but super top heavy, really good top 2, and then falls off a cliff. At least you have McMillan, but yikes. Hopefully Lemon does deliver. Loveland, Barner, and Freiermuth. So yeah, the 3 tight ends is a bit tough with Loveland. And I think one more receiver would be worth it. Because 6 RBs as well. I don't mind 2 quarterbacks with these 2. That's fine. Receiver feels a tiny bit thin. But hopefully these 2 stay healthy and you do thread the needle as possible. Good luck. Who isn't in on T-Ferg? I mean, based on the price, it's hard to be out, but like sometimes he's still kind of slept on. It's just hard to know exactly who to trust there. But I could do a bunch more team reviews, but I don't think anybody else is a member. Even ResDog, I'm not sure is a member. But yeah. Wait, did I check a look at Niners fan? No, I did not. He's a member. Baker, Malik Willis, Daniel Jones. He also goes 4 running backs with Taylor, Achane, Quinchon, and Kenny Gainwell. That checks out. Flowers, Egbuka, Tyson, Metcalf, Downs, Hunter, Ted Hurst, and Chris Bell. Pretty solid. Some good stacking partners, especially with Baker. Juwan Johnson, Greg Dulcich, Kate Otten. Yeah, that's fine. Love the Dulcich stack. Achane stacked. Daniel Jones also stacked. Good correlation here. Fun team. I will do one more little Dalmatian. Fuck it. We were not live either Saturday nor yesterday. I will do one more because it's 11 p.m. I still got 57 people watching. So I think there's some demand for it. I'm not even going to ask y'all. The poll is definitely always favor Little Dalmatian. Today's the day. Let's do it. M. Stockton. Jonah Coleman is from Stockton, California. I've been to Stockton. My best friend, my freshman year of college, was from Stockton. I visited him in Stockton. I have been to Stockton. It's an interesting place. I took the train, took the Amtrak all the way up there to see my boy. Some nice houses up there in certain areas. It's pretty nice. You're welcome, Zero. Appreciate you being a team member. Why do I keep saying team member? I don't know why I'm saying that. You're a Blunt Rotation member. You're a member of the Blunt Rotation. Appreciate you for being a member. Holy shit. Slayton, I forgot I had Tyler Warren twice and had $1 to Warren, Pitts, Kincaid, tight end room. That's not terrible. That's not the end of the world. Good to mix T-Ferg and Parkinson exposure anyway. Either could pay off. Last year, you definitely preferred Parkinson, so that's the bet I think makes a little bit more sense, but the higher upside definitely is T-Ferg. Year 2 breakout for a second-round pick should make a lot of sense this season. But definitely going to smoke before we move on. Gotcha. Shamrock clicked on 5 twice. Didn't get in. Maybe click on... What's the true delay right now? The true delay is 6 seconds. Click on 7. Click on 7. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Instafill. I get pick 8. I'm right next to 0 again. You could also do what 0 does and probably enter like 3 at once. Whohame's in it. Clicked at 8. It absolutely is time for rip. You know it. Let's go. Also, shout out Anthony, Best Ball on Call. Haven't seen you on YouTube in a minute, but also has a presence on YouTube. Welcome to the stream, buddy. If I haven't shouted you out already, nice to see you. Okay, I actually caught up with the chat. I actually caught up. Maybe I can keep pace today. But let's show you all the board. Let's shout out y'all who made it in here. We got Game Tight at the 101. He is about to be on the clock. Not sure about JBay84 at pick 2, but Spurs. Anthony made it in. Yo, what's up, Anthony? Good to see you in the house. Whohames at pick 4. Brash picks at pick 5. Shamrock made it in. Yo, fuck yeah. You made it, Shamrock. Love to see it. Love to see it. Aldonet. I'm not sure how to totally pronounce it. Aldonielva. That's my best guess at pick 7. Then I pulled the 108, my most drafted spot this summer. I have a lot of experience at the 108. 0 fucks at 109. Brand Man Ginger at the 110. J-Rock and Niners fan at pick 11 and 12. We will go Amon-Ra, my preferred selection, at the 108. So far, ADP was consistent except for Jamar Chase at the 102. We did get a Bijan going to Anthony at pick 3. Took him 3 tries, but finally got in. And you got rewarded a Bijan out of the 3 slot. That must feel pretty solid. But Sladen, I click on 10, and I'm still late. If I had to guess, Sladen, you might be early. That's what I would guess. I'm doing 5 at the same time anyways. That definitely checks out. 60-hour week. 60-hour weeks, 2 months straight, I'm cooked. That makes a lot of sense, man. At least you're getting some overtime pay, but yo, stay hydrated, stay rested, and cheers to you, Anthony. Keep grinding. Got a 102, so yay me though. That's always nice. I suppose if I'm ever going to take Achane, it's going to be at the top of ADP, and it's going to be in a $1 draft. I'm not as fearful about the cost. At 17, it still might be too high, though. I still think Chase Brown might be a better click, though. But today I'll take an Amon-Ra Achane team. I definitely don't have many Amon-Ra Achanes, that's for sure. Oh, bummer. Yeah. That's one reason why I don't love working on set. Sometimes it can be very inconsistent work, but in general, you're expecting to do a lot of overtime. And it can take its toll, especially if you have it all the time. But 60-hour weeks for 2 months, that does sound kind of tough. I just noticed I was in this draft with you. Quitter75. Which pick do you have, Quitter? That's an interesting username. Are you Aldo? Are you Brash? Let me know. Aldo Nielva. Okay. I was close. I was close. I gave it like a Spanish accent kind of for Nielva. I thought might be the last name, but good to know. Aldo, what's up? Good luck to you. And you're leaving me Brees Hall. I took this actually earlier today. I took a Devon Achane Brees Hall combo earlier today, and similar to Achane, if I'm going to take him, I don't like to do it. Should probably do it when he's top of ADP on a low buy-in. Get the shares in. Say I did it. Wipe my hands clean. It is a gross pick, if you ask me. Round 3 Brees Hall is a gross pick, but this is best ball ultimately, and spike weeks are what we're chasing. Brees doesn't really strike me as a guy that helps get you there. I think he's not really worth round 3. But if you told me that you sneaked him through, I could envision a scenario where in the right week, he does really pop off. That is always possible with Brees. So 5 picks past ADP. Let's do it. And then I'm not going to pair him with Garrett Wilson. That's what I did on the other one. I will go Egbuka today. Egbuka, also a player that's been not on my teams as often lately because I take Cam Scatterboot a lot above him. And I still like Egbuka from a spike week standpoint. He's decent in round 4, but I've noticed I haven't taken him that often because very often he's just taken above me. Or I go Scatterbo. So 2 RBs already. I'll mix it up and get Egbuka. But Aldo Nova is the life is just a fantasy song. I was a kid then. I don't think I've heard that before. I'll have to check that out. There is the did any of you guys watch the fantasy show on ESPN with Matthew Berry? Did any of you guys watch that? I will say that is one thing that like inspire Matthew Berry. Shout out Matthew Berry. Used to be a big fan. And the like intro to that show is like one of the most obvious like intros songs you could play. It's like, "Dear Mr. Fantasy, play us a tune." Like yeah, that checks out. I would imagine that's an easy choice when you have like the first like mainstream television show for fantasy football. Anyways, that show didn't last forever. I think I'm gonna go Bucky today. Pick 56. It's fine. It's not great, but I'm already a little bit worried about the running back room, but a guy that used to go in the 3rd round could definitely crush on a given week. A little worried about him, but if I'm going to take him when I'm kind of underweight, let it be top of ADP, low buy-in. And then I also have him paired with Egbuka, so this sets up a very nice Baker combo later. Baker's very affordable, very easy to stack. And it's also possible that if I grab Chris Godwin and the Kenneth Gainwell drafter is on the right side of the board, picks 9 through 12, then possibly I could push Baker to 128. I've taken him there in the past. I've got him there. That's for sure. But 113 is probably where I'll take Baker on this one. But looks like this auto is going off the rails. Might have to take over. I imagined you had some auto ranks for sure. You have not drafted a single running back. I'm going to leave you Jadarian Price, I'm going to leave you Jadarian Price. I'm sure you want him. I know you're excited for him. Maybe the auto ranks wouldn't even do it, but I'll go Tyler Warren. I'll take that decision off your plate. I'll make Jadarian Price look even more palatable as your RB1. How about that? Pick 4, you can definitely get stuck with no receivers if you're not paying attention. No running backs. Excuse me, but you've heard it. It's from the 80s. Gotcha. Slayton did. Stefania was solid for the injury. Yeah, Stefania Bell, a true professional for a very long time. You know, maybe not very long time, but as far as I can remember in terms of like listening to fantasy content, her appearances on the Fantasy Focus podcast, always valuable. She honestly makes that show way more entertaining too. Very important talent alongside Matthew Berry for like the glory days of like ESPN fantasy media. Let me know what you guys think. Has it gotten worse or better since Matthew Berry left? I do not watch it anymore. I stopped watching a couple years before Matthew Berry left because I kind of just wanted to focus more on my own shit. I felt like I needed to create the content, not consume the content if I wanted to be in this position. And so I made a conscious effort not to watch that type of stuff, especially on like an ESPN related type of thing. I did not want to give a lot of my mental energy to the mainstream media sources. But what do you guys think? Has it gotten better or worse since he left? I'm going to go Cortland Sutton. I need some receiver points, and betting on Denver feels solid. Unfortunately, Bo Nix and Baker have the same bye week, so that's probably going to be a bad stack to set up with both. But I took Waddle on 2 teams earlier today. I'll take Sutton today. But Staterpillar, the Statterpillar, yeah, the Statterpillar. The Statterpillar was fun. There was the Bad News Bear, the Statterpillar, Normie the Boss. There was a lot of characters on that one. Some of them got fucking wild. Some of them were fucking weird. Sure was sweet. Oh no, that's the translator. You type Sladen. Fantasy show was fun. Dop is awesome, and that was a perfect role for him. And Barry is yeah. Barry is Barry. Barry's a legend. Can't mention fantasy football media without Matthew Berry. No doubt. An inspiration. I don't think I'm going to take Godwin. I think I'm just going to take Rico Dowdle at 89. Quarterback we haven't addressed yet, but we're definitely pushing the position a little bit further. And running back feels weird. I kind of liked our 4 RB build that we just made. And honestly, Rico is the 4th. Feels pretty fine. So fuck it. I'll probably only stop at 4 running backs on this one. Maybe I mix in a Tank Bigsby, but like in general, just having strong running back rooms. The team is never in full desperation mode when you do that early on. Mac Nova was dropping in to hit the like, and I heard you mention Fantasy Show. Cool to hear people like that show. Yeah, I was actually like, I don't think I paid for ESPN Plus. There was some way that I was able to watch it. I must have actually paid for ESPN Plus at the time, and I think it was exclusively to watch the Fantasy Show. I think the 1 year that I like watched ESPN Plus, it was to watch Kobe's film breakdowns, Peyton Manning's film breakdowns, and the Fantasy Show. And I would like religiously watch the Fantasy Show. Okay, so yeah, that must have been year 2, when it was on ESPN Plus. I did watch it when it was live, a little bit less. But if I recall, it was on ESPN2 live, and then you could still catch it on ESPN Plus as well. But maybe it exclusively moved to digital. I wouldn't be shocked. But yeah, there was a time when ESPN was really, really cooking. I don't feel like that time is still the case. But maybe I just got older. Maybe I was just, younger. But no, it's definitely changed. Fuck. I actually have Jackson Dart ranked above Brock Purdy. I don't care. I need quarterback points. The Jackson Dart fall needs to be studied. I don't think people are actually paying attention to how productive Jackson Dart was on the field. Like, unless he just doesn't run anywhere close to where he ran last year, then I guess. But like, really, after a lot of the pocket passers, I don't really understand why Dart is like consistently past pick 100. So even unstacked, I'll still take him. I think he's one of the best quarterback values at the moment. And I've been trying to move off of taking Justin Herbert as much as I do, especially as Herbert moves into the 6-7 turn. Like Game Tight took him here. I'm not going to take him as much, and that's fine. But I know, man, but like still, like when he's on the field, he's dropping like 25 points. He's a top 5 play in daily when he's healthy. And that was without Neighbors last year. He's expected to have Neighbors again. Like, I don't really get it. But if y'all want to fade him, be my guest. Maybe I should have taken Purdy there and then set up the Kittle selection here. But I do really need wide receiver points. I don't need Fannin that much. I'll pass on Fannin. I'm not totally convinced that Fannin is actually still worth this pick. Zero, I was hoping you'd take Purdy. Do you have Neighbors? No, you did not have Neighbors. Had I taken Purdy, then I could at least have gone Kittle there. But I think structurally going receiver helps me a lot more than tight end. Yeah, you wanted Dart. Zero knows. Zero's aware, but Barry was pretty much redraft only, so none of us watch anymore. Probably that's definitely a factor. Yeah, the live stream audience is not the redraft audience. I can assure you that. There's a little bit of overlap, but the redraft heavy audience is still not checked in on YouTube very much. They're starting to check in. I think after the July 4th holiday, when people are setting up who is going to be in their redraft league this year, at the 4th of July party is, I think, when people typically start to hype up fantasy football a little bit, especially with the World Cup going on, the USA not eliminated yet. If the US loses, what is it, tomorrow? And they either play tomorrow or the day after. I think it's tomorrow. The fantasy football market will gobble that up pretty quickly. Kind of want to take Kincaid again. Likely got fucking sniped. That's annoying. I kind of want to take Chris Rodriguez again, but I like that team I just built with only 4 running backs, so I think I kind of want to do that again, and our receiver room needs some names. So let's do Stephon Diggs. Stockton, they should bring in Diana Rossini to play with all the ESPN tortellini. Was it worth it to type Stockton? I feel like we should maybe back off of Rossini just a little bit. I feel like maybe it's not necessary to pile on still. But she definitely asked for some criticism. That's for sure. Jerry says, screw it. I'll go live again after you blunt, not tired, and feel like drafting. Let's keep this party rolling. I mean, if you got the time, Jerry, there's still 57 people watching. I'll send them your way. This is definitely my last one. We're going on. We just cracked 3 hours. We're at 3 hours, 4.5 minutes. We'll make this pick and we'll hit the pipe again. I have to pack the bowl, though. Mason almost falls back. Would have been tempting. I have Devon Achan. I will take Malik Willis, actually. I'll do it. 137. Solid. We got two running quarterbacks. And then Malik Willis, if you're going to stack with anyone, should probably be Achan. Maybe he doesn't check it down, but like you just have to. If you're not checking it down and you're Malik Willis, you're asking to be benched before the end of the season, right? You have to give it to the best playmaker to keep the job. Mac Nova worked on that show for 2 years. It was probably the most fun show. I would imagine that would be fucking awesome. I would imagine, bro. Wow, that's awesome. Love that show. The more you know. Glad I mentioned it. Granted, Fannin has dropped so far. He is plummeting, and I suppose with Pitts and Kelsey off the board, he would have made sense, but I have Tyler Warren on this team. I'm not dying to do it. And structurally, I think my team just needed wideout. Zero says Dart has flipped May in my exposures with his dip lately. Makes zero sense to me. Yeah, I think it's just people drafting scared and the neighbor. It's got to be neighbors. It's got to be because of neighbors. But does Huhames ever sleep? He's an owl. Yeah. Isn't it pretty obvious, Quitter? Huhames is an owl. He is nocturnal. He's sleeping when you're waking up. That's what's happening. But yeah. Definitely we holding it down. Yeah. It's the beard. The beard keeps him eternally awake. He's like the three-eyed raven from Game of Thrones. I'm Hunter Henry here. I don't like Juwan Jennings very much. Feel like he just never fell further down. It's not a pick I like, and the Naylor I never take. I think he steamed up and just never readjusted. I don't believe it. Don't love the change in scenery for Naylor. That oftentimes leads to disappointment. Yeah, Jiri has very long shifts as well. I think part of it is that Dart wasn't a good pick early, and people who faded him early haven't fully adjusted. Yeah, when he was round 6, it was pretty ridiculous. But once he fell into the 8th round, it was like, yeah, this is probably where he should settle. Now in the 9th, it's like, yep, automatic. He's one of the best athletes at the position when you really start to think about it. Jawan circles back. I told you I didn't want him, and now you guys are leaving him for me. Pick 161. I suppose I'd rather go Charbonnet here, but fine, I'll go Juwan Jennings at 161. I don't like it, though. I'm glad I took Hunter Henry above him. Maybe I still take the 5th running back, but receivers kind of thin on this team. I felt a little bit desperate. Like originally I thought I was going to go Baker on this team. I was kind of unwilling to do it. We passed on Fannin for Wandale. I felt pretty far behind. I still kind of feel behind, so the volume is going to be important. We do have Amon-Ra at least, so the anchor there keeps it afloat. But I would say it's probably the most desperate position where we stood there. So the full round dip on Juwan Jennings. I guess so. The cat is requesting my attention, and I want to rip the pipe at least one more time before we go. My weed, though, is not ready. The supply needs to be crushed up. Allow me to do that while we wait for this next pick to come back around. But in the meantime, let me catch up with the chat. Somehow I didn't make the owl connection. Yeah, it's pretty obvious once you think about it, but you know, sometimes you're not quite sure. Who knows? Ultimately, who knows? I didn't like his price pre-draft 70s, but 100s. Forgot who we talking about. Oh, Jackson Dart. Yeah, Dart, definitely. I'll go Zachariah Branch. Bet on the rookie breaking out. Wide receiver 2 in Atlanta. Feels pretty safe to bet on him. But in all honesty, I've mostly just been coming around that Kyle Pitts is probably worth his ADP and then some, rather than dying to draft Zachariah Branch. I know our boy Candyman, Chris the Candyman, the Fantasy Football Garage, is a big fan of Zachariah Branch. But, I mean, I reached on him a little bit. I think he's a good pick in general, but he's not someone I like to overload on my rosters. And if not for the volume I think this team kind of needs at receiver, not sure I would have taken him above ADP, but a fine bet ultimately. But there is a player in round 18 that I'm really hopeful to grab and pair with Jackson Dart, one of my favorite picks, in all honesty, in the 18th round recently. I've been taking him a lot more often. About to be on the clock, though. Sean Tucker made it back, so I queued him up. This is a pretty solid discount. About around like 8 picks, basically. And I do have Bucky, but if Bucky is ever missing time, that means Sean Tucker delivers. I'll go 5. I'll go 5. I mentioned 4, but I'm not that high on Bucky in the first place. But no, game tight. Don't do it. Please don't do it. Damn it. Please, no. Slayton says Naylor is Vegas Keenan. He exits only to ruin other bags, has no tangible self-value. That's fair. I've been clicking Keenan lately, so that's funny. He has no tangible self-value, only to ruin other people's bags. That's going to be really funny when that happens. Yeah. The Josh Downs truthers are going to be so fucking pissed when Keenan shows up. They're going to be so fucking mad. But yo, I might have talked Game Tight out of taking Darius Slayton. He went Jeremy Bernard and Ted Hurst. Appreciate that. Watch somebody else do it. Need a Santa Cruz shredder. Is that is that another term for a grinder? But yeah. Need the ASMR. Need to ASMR the grinder like Pete with the. You know what? Does that satisfy the? You know what? That's a perfect call, Mac Nova. Shout out Peter Overzet. Perfect call. Dart in the 70s was pre-Nagy. Right. Right. That was the true optimism. That's why I was taking him a shit ton. You remember those days, Who Hames, in the pre-draft when I was ripping Jackson Dart round 6? Holy shit. That was something. I think I'm just gonna queue him up in case I time out. Um, nah, I'll go Fryermuth first though. I'm gonna stop with Dart and Willis. Fuck it. But I am gambling that Slayton makes it back. That might not happen. Fuck around and find out. But yeah. What is elite is the actual smoke. The actual smoke break is what's most elite. I'm not sure if you guys are aware. Of course, Darius Slayton and Malachi Fields goes to Chad. I knew as soon as I put Fryermuth at the top of the queue, I was not going to get Slayton. I knew as soon as I stepped off, I was not going to get him. Of course. But ultimately, maybe it's not the end of the world. Instead, I'll just go Caleb Douglas. Let's get an interesting rookie in Miami where there are targets galore available. Let's go Caleb Douglas. Why the fuck not? All right, interesting team. 2 running quarterbacks. Hopefully that gets the job done. Jackson Dart and Malik Willis better stay the fuck healthy. But for $1, let's take a chance. We got Devon Achane, Breece Hall. It's a fun little combo together. Bucky Irving with Sean Tucker. That feels solid. And then Rico Dowdle holding it down. RB4. This is an interesting running back room. Not the safest approach, but worth the risk. And I think built solidly enough. The foundation is there. The spike weeks are something. The variance, though, might be very, very high, especially if Achane doesn't pay off. But he's stacked up with Willis. That should work. Amon-Ra, Egbuka, Cortland Sutton falls off kind of fast. Wandale, number 4, holding it down. Hopefully 140 targets for the 3rd straight season. And then Stephon Diggs, who the fuck knows where he plays? Maybe it's Miami. Maybe I get lucky with a little stacking up partner. But Juwan Jennings at a full round discount. Still a little gross, but obviously more exciting a full round past ADP. Zachariah Branch and then Caleb Douglas. Some rookies with some upside. Definitely perfect landing spots for rookie receivers. We were hopeful that we would get a Mekhi Lemon to the Dolphins. We were hopeful for an Omar Cooper in Atlanta. Instead, they went elsewhere. Maybe we just get the volume. And location is all that matters. But tight end is pretty lit. We got Tyler Warren, the elite option, top 4 option. Any given week, Hunter Henry can also score 7-8 touchdowns this year. Pat Fryermuth probably bounces back after a down season. With Jonnu Smith leaving the offense. Love the Mike McCarthy system. Fryermuth should hit. So, interesting team. Receiver, a little shaky. Falls off kind of quickly, but Amon-Ra always helps. And then running back either works or doesn't. But if it does, we have 30-point upside from about everyone. Literally everyone has 30-point games in them. Achane, everyone knows that. Breece Hall, it's either like 25 or fails to get you 12. There's not much in between with Breece Hall. And then Bucky, 30 points is kind of asking a lot, but he has done it. He can explode every now and then. And then Rico last year had 2 straight 30-pointers. Sean Tucker also had a 33, 36-pointer. Every single option can drop 30 any given week at running back. Receiver need the volume to hit, though, and then tight end will hit the flex on occasion. Quarterback rushing yards are king. All right, let me catch up with the chat. It fucking got away from me. Dart at 76 and Theo 140 was the peak pre. Yeah, that one was definitely have a few of those shares. Yeah, once in a while, we will give you the grinding the weed ASMR. Even just the snapping of the stems. Yeah, stem in the cutscene is on the same page. Best ball on call. You read my mind. Um, what I done in this team is a first for you, Who Hames. Let's take a look. You are a member and a moderator, so let's take a look. You got Jaden, Kyler, and Mendoza. Kyler 117 feels pretty sweet. Blake Corum RB1. Holy shit. Brooks, Woody Marks, gross. Pacheco, mid. Tyler Algier, fine. Emmett Johnson, your boy. And Damon Claiborne. There's the swing for the fence. Brooks and Claiborne are the fun options. But yeah, this is a true zero RB, and it could be better. It's not terrible. There's some floor plays at least that maybe save you while you wait out Brooks, Corum, and one of these two. The Claiborne bet is possibly what saves it. But Brooks better fucking hit. And if not, you could just be screwed. But I'm sure you're aware. Holy shit. Puka, Rashi, Terry, Waddle, and Higgins. You had me with the 5 receivers until we hit Higgins. If it was anyone sooner than Higgins, I think I might have been on board. But I think you really lose me with Higgins. Bowers, Kraft, and Dulcich. I mean, thanks for blessing our late night eyes on this build, who a 3-7-5-3 from pick 4. Definitely the spot to start off with a 0 RB. I think I would have grabbed another receiver instead of Mendoza. I think I would have just stopped with these two. But if you're going to go for it, you might as well go for it. 3 tight ends with Bowers. And then you did need 7 running backs. This team needed 7 running backs. So that's undoubtedly a necessary investment. So it came at a cost, only 5 receivers. I would have gotten rid of Mendoza for wide receiver 6. I think you can get away with 6 wideouts with these 4. Higgins, wide receiver 5 on a 6 room, I think is fine, but you cannot sustain a single injury. These 4 have to stay healthy because I think Higgins is actually very risky to be worthless. And by worthless, I mean like a bunch of 8-pointers, like maybe a couple 11-pointers, but like if it's like last year, you're screwed. So good luck. Good luck with that. But 1 injury, you could be dead. You know the risk though. Who Hames knows? In $1 format. Let's let it ride. Yeah, a Caleb Douglas team. Gotta be a good one, right? Calvin Austin is the pick. I actually have some Calvin Austin shares, if you can believe it. I do have some Calvin Austin shares. But, yo, what's up, Young Moolah? In the house, GAB Lifestyle. Anyone missed it? Last Friday, we were live with Young Moolah for about an hour and a half. Drafted a banger over there. That one was really fun. Shout out Young Moolah, friend of the channel. Dart is absolutely a dog. Wants to stay on the field. Should, barring a true concussion. Yeah. Good luck, Who Hames. Good luck. Anthony says, my last pick. Hollywood Brown, first time picking him. Let's take a look at Anthony's team. Spurs G has been trying to get in. Let's take a look. He has Lamar Jackson, Jalen Hurts, and CJ Stroud. That's fine. Bijan, Jeremiah Love, Dobbins, Aaron Jones, and Kamara. So a lot of early season production. Hopefully they stay healthy long enough to carry you, where Jeremiah Love does hit the lineup after the bye. If you can advance with Jeremiah Love, I think you have a shot. His playoff schedule's pretty lit, but to get there with him feels pretty bogus. So Dobbins early season, Aaron Jones early season, until they get hurt, you're okay. And then Kamara always gets hurt at this stage of his career. So I do not like the depth. I think it's a little too fragile. I could see this crashing and burning, where Love just doesn't take off soon enough, and you're getting like a 6-point game out of Kamara because these two are injured. There's a chance that blows up in your face tremendously. Devontae Smith, Mike Evans, Mekhi Lemon, Jacoby Myers, 99 off the board is a little high, but probably fine. Probably fine. Omar Cooper, Ayuk, and Hollywood. I think you may have taken too many Eagles. Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, and Hollywood Brown. I don't love for Jalen Hurts. He's never proven that 3 receivers are viable. So kind of just a 1 week it's this guy, another week it's that guy. It could check out, but the risk on Ayuk, Omar Cooper feels mispriced right now. I've been fading him. And then these 4 are okay, but not like amazing. They feel a little bit mid, in all honesty. And then Andrews, Hawkinson, Schultz, that's fine. A little bit mid as well. No elite upside with that group. So it's all coming from quarterback, if I had to say. And then any team with Bijan is going to be competitive. But if Love does not deliver, I could see this team just not having that true spike week potential, if I'm being completely honest with you. But I could also be wrong. Running back scares me. And then receiver feels kind of mid. You spent a lot at quarterback. Maybe if Stroud is somebody else, the depth feels a little better at receiver, perhaps, without Stroud. It could work, though. Good luck, Spurs. This lobby is going to be weird. That's for sure. So if you have the best quarterback room, that could also just ensure you finish top 3. So if you can push Jeremiah Love, the team's very interesting. I do worry about that a little bit. Did we take a look at Game Tight? No, he has Herbert and Tyler Shuck. He's a member. Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis, and DeAndre Swift. Quinshon, 4 RBs out the gate, out of the first 5 rounds. That's pretty interesting. You did take 6 overall. You got the Bigsby and Brian Robinson handcuff. That's a lot at running back. But these 2 are kind of all or nothing. So if they do hit the lineup, it's kind of at the expense of these guys. Like, I think with so much draft capital spent, give me Bigsby and then I'll stop. I think double tapping there might be a little bit overboard. But with a 2.682, you can probably tolerate it with only 2 tight ends. Let's take a look, though, at everything else. Chris Olave, Quentin Johnston, Xavier Worthy, Michael Pittman. I was worried about the receiver room maybe looking like shit, but honestly, it looks fine. A little bit risky, but totally fine up to that point. With Trey Tucker, number 5, that's checking out. Jeremy, Ted Hurst, and Devon Vele. You let me have Slayton, and I failed you. I did pass on Slayton. Likely at 121, pulled him up, but making the big bet on it, I guess it's fine. And then Chigo Conquer, one of the better values. The team checks out. Tight end might be a little bit shaky, but probably fine. Not scary. And then you didn't force the Juwan Johnson stack, but he didn't fall back. Running back, like I said, maybe didn't need 6. But I don't think you had to have another quarterback. I don't think you had to have another tight end. And with 8 receivers, it does check out. No complaints. No complaints. Good luck, Game Tight. Pretty legit team. And the QJ Herbert stack always coming in clutch. The Herbert teams with Gibbs always feel nice. I will say they always have some extra upside because it's a little bit less common. Herbert at the bookend with Gibbs, not the most common. He either falls or he doesn't, but to take him at the turn is a little bit different. Just a little bit. Is Shamrock a member? I don't think so. But I'll take a look at Shamrock after Zero's team and Chad's team, the other members in this lobby. Drake May and Bo Nix, the bring back for Zero's roster. Another team where Josh Jacobs might save it. It's possible that Jacobs in the 4th is the pick you need. Byshul Tootin, though, Chuba Hubbard, RJ Harvey feels okay. Because Chuba at 81, I guess, is fair. But, like, any team with Chuba always feels gross. Tyrone Tracy, though, I don't like at all. I'm just betting on Scatabo. CeeDee Lamb, A.J. Brown, Zay Flowers, Ricky Pearsall, Denzel Boston, Trey Harris, Dontavian Wicks, and Pat Bryant. Receiver room totally checks out. Goddard, Barner, and Mayer. Pretty legit. And a Michael Mayer team, not the most common sighting. Running back might just not have the correct names to get it done. I could see all of these guys just busting and none of them being worth their pick. So that is the risk, but then they're also all possibly great values, especially if Brooks just, if Brooks tears his ACL again, then Chuba does work out. I think that's probably why ultimately Chuba never falls. Sorry for bumping the mic. Sorry about that. Yeah, team checks out, quarterback checks out, but a little bit weird at running back. Just player take wise. That's all. We mentioned Niners team. Trevor Lawrence, Patrick Mahomes. That's fine. Hampton, Kyron, Javonte, Rashad, and C-Rod. That's excellent. Jefferson, Romadunze, BTJ, Hunter. There it is. There's the fall off. Brian Flournoy, A.D. Mitchell, though. Calvin Ridley, Malachi Fields, and Slayton. So with volume, kind of saves it. These 6 make 9 total. So tight end has Kelsey and Strange. Yeah, you pulled up Kelsey 10 spots. If that hits, it checks out. Very legit team. 9 receivers feels very necessary, but the top 3 can win you the contest, and then running back feels great. This team is very, very legit. I don't blame you at all for taking Slayton and Fields. One of them should hit, right? One of them should be valuable. And fading Mooney isn't the worst thing in the world. J-Rock's in here. Aldo's in here. Damn, we got a lot of fucking folks. I mentioned Shamrock, though. Let's take a look at Shamrock. Dak, Baker, and Tua. This feels like it could be pretty underrated. It also feels like it's destined to blow up and be worthless. I worry about Dak getting 2 successful seasons in a row. I will say that. Tua also very mid, even when he plays well. And then Baker, maybe without Evans, just isn't the same option. There is some risk there. That's for sure. You can talk yourself out of those 3 pretty easily. Jonathan Taylor, though, Trayvon Henderson, Jadarian Price at 67. Zach Charbonnet, both Seahawks. That is not bad. I don't mind that. Charbonnet at 150. You're not afraid. Coleman and Marshawn Lloyd, don't love it, but there is a world where these guys are the more valuable ones that you need. I think it's kind of tough to trust. So Taylor as the anchor really carrying this roster, you have to get a little lucky, but perhaps week by week you have the right combo of Seattle Seahawks. London, T. Higgins, Garrett Wilson, that's decent. Chris Godwin, Jalen McMillan stacks up. That's pretty sweet. For the price, it does feel pretty good. The McMillan-Baker combo is my favorite. And then Stribling, Darnell Mooney. A little gross with these two, but some upside. It's not terrible. Receivers top heavy enough. I don't mind it. Kyle Pitts and Jake Ferguson, though, that's totally fine. And then Ferguson stacks. Kyle Pitts could be great. Also stacks. The quarterbacks are correlated enough to make sense. There's just a world where they all disappoint. And this team just doesn't, I could easily see this team be like 6 in the pod is how I feel. Like, there's good players, but then there's also scenarios where they're just not quite paying off. Like, waiting for Charbonnet to save you could be a problem, especially if Travion doesn't deliver. And then quarterback I mentioned, but definitely a logical way to draft this team. And then London, I almost forgot also with Tua. Yeah, definitely checks out. Good luck with Atlanta. It's a very simple bet. It probably checks out. But sometimes it's been pretty mid with Tua. Aldo in here for the first time. Jordan Love, Bryce Young, and Aaron Rodgers. Feels pretty mid as well. Just in a different way. But much less price spent on it. So I'm not that inspired. I'll be honest. CMC, Derrick Henry, Kyle Monangai, Katron, love that. Singleton, and Braylon Allen. So getting a little weird down the back end at running back. But two really valuable backups. And then just trusting the elite studs for one more year. That's fair. Singleton and Braylon, though, kind of important and might be worthless. So kind of risky. But running back overall, I think checks out. Lad McConkey at 31, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison, DK Metcalf, Golden, Coker, and Chimeri DK. Honestly, it's pretty solid, but I don't like Harrison. And then there is a world where Lad is just not really viable as your wide receiver 1. He either crushes or is a big disappointment like last year. So good luck. Worth the bet, though, in the Chargers offense. Loveland and Gadsden, really great tight end room, stopping at 2. Totally legit. So it's just kind of quarterback looking gross, but the Golden combo is pretty important. The Metcalf stack. And then Coker is also there with Bryce. So this team would be more interesting with some of the elite stacks. Quarterback kind of scares me. It's just going to be very mid a lot of the time. But overall, the team has logical paths to work out. Running back kind of falls off quickly, though. If Monangai doesn't get enough goal line touches, I could see it kind of fall off with an injury. But no risk it, no biscuit. No need to draft scared. Let's go for it with the veterans. One more year with the veterans. People are overthinking it. Going with the year 2 Hampton or Genty. Honestly, Derrick Henry could easily just bury all the Genty drafters. It's possible. I wouldn't be entirely shocked if Genty maxes out at 8 touchdowns and Derrick Henry puts up another 1,600 yards and 18 total touchdowns. Imagine if he just crushes again. Wouldn't be that shocking, in all honesty. I know that Sean Mannion, coming from the Packers system, that they leaned on Jacobs in the goal line. That's definitely optimistic for Henry on the goal line, if you ask me. Okay. There was a couple more. J-Rock, I believe, our final one. Allen and Caleb, that's elite. Genty, Ken Walker, Kenny Gainwell, the double Kenneth. Jaden Blue and Jordan James, worth the risk. Solid approach. Solid drafting there at RB. So with only 7 picks allocated to those 2 positions, the rest should be pretty lit. Luther Burden, Christian Watson, Alec Pierce, Jordan Addison, Casey Concepcion, Khalil Shakir, Shaheed, Malik Washington. The Burden stack above ADP, not my favorite move. But any Allen team always feels a little bit thin. It's not bad, though. It is not bad. The Concepcion at 110, though, I do not like. I will say, this pick I don't like at all. No sugarcoating it. But Shakir, as wide receiver 6, ultimately is not the end of the world. And then I do like the upside of Addison, Pierce, Watson, and Burden. I just don't think the consistency is there. Shaheed, though, could help you out a lot. And then maybe Malik saves the floor. But most weeks is kind of sad. Juwan, Johnson, Kenyon, Sadiq, and Gunnar Helm. Yeah, the tight end room is not that impressive. So the price to pay on double elite quarterback, it looks great when you only scroll up this far. Like, this is totally reasonable. This looks great. But then you factor in all this. It could work, but I could also see receiver just kind of struggle to get rolling every single week. Like, one week, everything hits and it's phenomenal, and then another week, they kind of just all regress, and you have like 2 players in the lineup with less than 10 points. That could also happen in this type of room. Like, if Shakir hits the lineup, that will suck. This team does not need Shakir to be contributing very often. It needs maybe Stephon Diggs instead, or, just someone more exciting. I don't love the receiver rooms. Based on the teams I've reviewed, this receiver room doesn't feel like the best. I'll be totally honest. After all of that, what does my team look like again? Dart and Malik, not elite, but could get it done. Running back's decent. Wide receiver, a little uninspiring. Yeah, receiver's not the best in this lobby either, but then tight end is great. If receiver's my weakness and Diggs is not hit, then a lot of my teams are going to fail, most likely. But let's just trust Igbuka on this one. Igbuka definitely carries it. We're going to advance. We're going to finish 3rd, and then Dart and Malik carry me the rest of the way. I don't love my running back room, though. Player take-wise, I hate my running back room, if I'm being honest. All right. I could be wrong on all of my takes. I could be right on most of them, but I appreciate all of you for watching, and it is a pleasure to be drafting. Most days of the week, we will be back tomorrow, and looking forward to all of our teams the rest of the summer. But I ignored the chat for like 10 minutes there, and I think I'm just going to call it quits. Sorry if I'm missing anything, but I think we got to basically everyone in this lobby drafting with us, and just want to say thank you very much. I am going to check out, but appreciate y'all. If you haven't done so yet, subscribe to Who Hames, subscribe to Jiri Football. Appreciate you. Jiri's going live. He might already be live, but if you're still interested in watching some teams, head over there. And we also had a few other people pop in. We had Steve-O Speak pop in earlier. We had Jamie Pirog hop in earlier. So shout out Fanspeak Network and the IDP Center. We were live with the IDP Center last week. That was also fun. Check out the replay over there if you haven't. And then other friends of the channel, Hartman as always. We got Young Moolah as well. And Off the Schneid also checked in. Yo, Off the Schneid. Shout out Cody. Subscribe over there. But I'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Goodbye. Thanks for watching.